Chapter 595. Owen, what should we do now? This is so fucking frustrating. Peter walked to Owen's side and glared at the students who were reveling in the party. Willis and Jack also gathered around Owen. The four of them looked at each other, and none of them had a good idea. We lost this battle. Let's go. Don't embarrass yourself. Avril, who had been silent, walked past the four of them. Her light voice fell into the four's ears. The four of them looked reluctant and helpless. However, when they saw the students who were reveling in the party, they could only lower their heads and prepare to leave. Wait! Qin Feng suddenly called out to them before the five of them had gone far. The five of them stopped and turned to look at Qin Feng. The four boys all had a trace of anger in their eyes. Peter, the brawny black man, stepped forward, glared at Qin Feng and shouted, "What else do you want?" Peter's attitude was very arrogant. He didn't look like a loser at all. The students from Provincial Capital University were unhappy. They all rushed to Qin Feng and reprimanded Peter and the others. You're still so arrogant after losing this time? You can't cure epileptics, but our teacher Qiao Feng can. I'm going to piss you off. Didn't you brag yesterday about how amazing your country's Western medicine is? Now it seems that it's just so-so. Can't even cure epilepsy. How embarrassing. Let's see if you still dare to look down on Chinese medicine and Chinese acupuncture. Now you know how amazing we are. To tell you the truth, Teacher Qiao Feng's medical skills are the worst in the Chinese medicine world. He doesn't even have the qualifications to carry the shoes of those Chinese medicine masters. You can't even beat his rubbish medical skills, and you still have the nerve to look down on our medical college? The hot-blooded students looked at Avril and the others proudly, as if they had returned from a victory. However, Qin Feng's face darkened. He really wanted to drag out the student who slandered him and ask him if he thought about his feelings when he was bragging. What's there to be proud of? The man who treated you just now should be a teacher from your medical college, right? You're so happy that a teacher won against a student? Isn't that normal? Owen suddenly retorted. Willis's eyes lit up as well, and he added, "Oh, I get it. Your Provincial Capital University's medical school can't produce elite students who are as good as the five of us, so you sent out teachers to fight us. Your school is really shameless to do something like this." That's right, that's right. What's there to be proud of when a teacher defeated us? What a joke. Peter and Jack also came back to their senses and retorted. Seeing that these exchange students were starting to be arrogant again, the medical school students were very unhappy. However, everyone opened and closed their mouths, but they were so sullen that they could not say anything. This was because everyone realized that what Willis and the others said was the truth, and they even seemed to be very reasonable. They really did not know how to refute. Why aren't you saying anything? Weren't they cheering happily at the front? You're embarrassed now, aren't you? Seeing that the students from the medical college had calmed down, the four guys on Owen's side became arrogant again. Are the five of you the exchange students sent by the St. Second Medical Institute? Qin Feng seemed to not hear Owen's arrogance as he sized up the five of them. It was Qin Feng who stopped the five of them just now. The reason why Qin Feng stopped them was because he wanted to see how the five of them were doing. Perhaps the members sent by the William family were among the five exchange students. The five of us are the elite students sent by the St. Second Medical Institute. We were selected after a strict assessment and selection process. Owen was still a little shocked by Qin Feng's acupuncture skills, but he and the others would not show their emotions in front of Qin Feng. Instead, they looked at Qin Feng arrogantly. Qin Feng did not care whether these people were elite or not. He did not care if they were selected or had slept with someone. Qin Feng continued to ask, "Where's the representative of your teachers? Why don't I see them?" Qin Feng had already sized up the five of them, but he did not notice anything unusual. Apart from the fact that the foreign girl was very beautiful and her breasts were more spectacular than billowy ladies, Qin Feng did not think that these five students had anything to do with the William family. It was said that the William family placed a lot of importance on this secret infiltration into China, and sent experts. The five people in front of him all looked like students and were about the same age as Qin Feng. It didn't seem like there were experts among them. What do you want to ask? Owen and the others were a little angry after being ignored by Qin Feng. I didn't ask anything. I just want to know where the exchange students are. They're having an exchange with the teachers from your university. Don't change the topic. St. Medical College didn't lose the competition just now because you guys cheated. Owen changed the topic. He was not interested in Qin Feng's question at all. Qin Feng's expression gradually became serious. He looked at Owen and the others and asked, "How old are you this year?" The corner of Owen's mouth twitched. He could not keep up with Qin Feng's random question. However, he still replied snappily, "The 5 of us are in our early 20s. Then how old do I look?" Owen carefully sized up Qin Feng's face and said with a pout, "Over 40. Qin Feng's face immediately darkened, and he almost beat Owen up. "What's wrong with your eyes? I'm also in my early 20s, okay? We're about the same age and I'm even younger than that black bear, okay? That black bear should be in his 30s, right?" Qin Feng was infuriated by Owen, so he transferred his anger to Peter. Peter was so angry that his nostrils flared when he heard he was in his 30s. However, Willis, Owen, and the others didn't have much of an expression because when they first saw Peter, they really thought he was in his 30s. "That's how he looked. Don't talk nonsense. I'm only 21. I'm the youngest among the 5 of us." Peter glared at Qin Feng angrily. Qin Feng said with a disapproving expression, "It doesn't matter how old you are. What's important is that we're all in our early 20s. We're about the same age. Oh yeah, does the sexy beauty beside you have a boyfriend? Do you need me to introduce him to her?" As Qin Feng spoke, his gaze fell on Avril. This woman's figure was too voluptuous, and he could not help but stare at her chest. Avril's expression turned cold. She glared at Qin Feng and said, "Sorry, you don't have to worry about my matters. What do you want to say? If there's nothing else, we'll leave first," Avril said as she prepared to leave. Qin Feng put away his smile and continued to say, "You guys are about the same age as me, and there should be a few who are older than me. I'm a teacher and you guys are students. Just because of this professional identity, does it not count if I beat you guys?" Avril and the other 4 suddenly stopped in their tracks, and their expressions changed strangely. Qin Feng acted as if he did not see this and continued to say, "China has a large population, and there are many talented people. There are countless teachers who are younger than me, and they are all younger than you. If their medical skills are better than yours, does it mean that because they are teachers their excellence does not count? Then how do you choose the so-called elites of the St. Medical Institute? Do you choose them based on your age or your level of Western medicine? If you guys think that my medical skills are better than yours don't count because I'm a teacher, then if I resign now and become a student in a medical institute, will you guys acknowledge my victory?" Haha. Everyone, see? This is the elite exchange student delegation of the St. Medical Institute. How laughable they are. Qin Feng had always been an unreasonable person, but he especially liked to reason with others. With just a few words, Qin Feng had made the 5 exchange students of the St. Medical Institute dumbfounded. The 5 of them were still in the same posture as when they turned around, and they looked at Qin Feng as if they had senile dementia. The students of the Medical Institute were also dumbfounded. They raised their heads and looked at Qin Feng with sparkling eyes, especially the female students. It was as if they had seen their Prince Charming, and they were all infatuated with him. They were hopeless. Provincial Capital University's Medical Institute had just lost a genius teacher, Qin Feng, and now a genius teacher, Qiao Feng, had arrived. "You're right. We've learned our lesson. The St. Medical Institute has lost this time," Avril suddenly said after a long while. After a long while, Avril suddenly spoke. Her voice was neither cold nor warm, and there was no emotion on her pretty face. The other 4 exchange students looked at Avril with displeasure. They hadn't expected her to suddenly say something like that. However, they couldn't say anything in response to Avril's words, other than feeling angry. Although Willis and the other 3 were unwilling to admit defeat, they had no choice but to do so after listening to Qin Feng's words. "You said that you guys have lost. May I ask, how did you lose?" Qin Feng looked at Avril and asked. Avril didn't answer. Owen suddenly said, "We couldn't save the epilepsy patient, but you used Chinese traditional medicine to wake her up. We have lost this round." Qin Feng's calm expression turned into anger. His eyes turned red as if they were about to shoot out flames. He glared at Owen and said word by word, "You think you've lost because your medical skills are inferior to mine? Moreover, you're unwilling to admit defeat? But in my opinion, it's a small matter that your medical skills aren't good enough. You're still young, and as long as you work hard, you'll make a name for yourself in the medical field sooner or later. You've lost because you've forgotten the fundamentals of medicine. When you surrounded the epileptic patient and pointed at her, proudly commenting on the cause of the student's illness, and talking about her various symptoms, have you ever thought of letting go of this learning exchange, let go of this medical competition and reputation, and call the ambulance as soon as possible to help the student, or carry her to the school's infirmary for emergency treatment? Who do you think you are? Why do you study medicine? Even if you won today's competition, even if your St. Medical Institute won this exchange, so what? If I came a little later, that student might not even exist. What's the point of winning? Can you feel at ease? Don't forget that the fundamentals of medicine are to save the dying and help the injured. P.S. It's about to fall out of the monthly votes list. Begging for monthly votes. Chapter 596. Qin Feng's witty words flowed like pearls without pause. He spoke very well, and the exchange students all lowered their heads, looking like children who had done something wrong. His words were so touching that many of the students in the medical school shed tears. They felt that it was shameful and hateful that they didn't go up to help the strong male student carry the epileptic girl to the infirmary. Qin Feng had this kind of ability. When he talked about great principles, even he was moved to tears by himself. We've lost and we accept our defeat wholeheartedly. Avril looked at Qin Feng again, and the light in her eyes changed. We've lost. We've really lost this round. You're very powerful. I'll challenge you personally in the upcoming exchange. The remaining 4 male students also admitted defeat one by one. Moreover, their attitudes were completely different from before. Qin Feng's sharp words struck something deep in their hearts, and they felt as if they had been enlightened. Owen even issued a letter of challenge to Qin Feng. Although he didn't say it on the surface, he had already regarded Qin Feng as the strongest opponent in this exchange. The students of the medical college looked at Qin Feng with even more admiration and reverence. They realized that Professor Qiao Feng and Professor Qin Feng were becoming more and more alike. Both of them were freaking experts at picking up girls. In such a short time, Professor Qiao Feng had already captured the hearts of more than half of the female students in the medical college. Well said. Chang Xian, who had been standing in the distance, couldn't help but walk up to Qiao Feng and praise him. However, as soon as she finished praising Qiao Feng, Chang Xian regretted her words. Why did she say such things to him? Teacher Chang Xian, you're flattering me. I'm just expressing my feelings. It's nothing special. Oh right, Teacher Chang Xian, are you free tonight? On my way here, I found a willow path with a nice environment. Why don't we go for a walk tonight and chat? Qin Feng looked at Chang Xian with a smile. Chang Xian's expression suddenly turned cold. She glared at Qin Feng and yelled, I'm busy. Chang Xian turned around and left with the 5 members of St. Secondary Medical Association. Qin Feng shook his head and sighed. A woman's heart is like a needle at the bottom of the ocean. Teacher Qiao Feng, Teacher Chang Xian isn't willing to accompany you to admire the flowers under the moonlight, but I'm willing to accompany you. Professor Qiao Feng, you mentioned earlier that you are a new Chinese medicine teacher in our medical college, right? That's great. I'll take you to the class to have a look. Teacher Qiao Feng, you just said so much. Are you feeling hot? Should I take off my jacket? Let me help you. The female students from the 2 classes of the medical college surrounded Qin Feng and chattered incessantly like little birds. Qin Feng stood among the flowers and looked at the different short skirts and beautiful legs of different lengths and thicknesses. He instinctively rubbed his nose to see if there was a nosebleed. Under everyone's enthusiastic reception, Qin Feng was brought to Class 1's classroom. The students of Class 1 took their seats and looked excitedly at Qin Feng on the stage. Qin Feng stood on the lectern and looked at the familiar faces below. He felt the sunlight pass through the window and fall on his handsome, now extremely ordinary face. He couldn't calm down for a long time. It was said that news traveled fast in university, but to Qin Feng it was flying fast. He had just stood on the podium and put on a few poses that he thought were handsome and said some classic quotes that were purposely profound and suitable for picking up girls when a large group of people walked in. Ha ha ha. Professor Qiao Feng, you're really a promising young man. I can tell that you're a genius at first glance. It's true. The news of you defeating the exchange student from the St. Second Medical College has spread across the campus. Your performance this time was outstanding and helped Provincial Capital University to turn the tables and vent our anger. The first person to walk into the classroom was the principal of Provincial Capital University, Wang Zhonghua. Not long ago, Wang Zhonghua looked down on Xiaofeng in his office. He thought Xiaofeng was a bastard who used his connections to get free food and girls. Now Wang Zhonghua's attitude changed. He praised Qin Feng as soon as he walked into the classroom, as if he was not the one who looked down on Qin Feng. After Principal Wang praised Xiaofeng, the dean of the medical college, Lu Feng, and many other professors followed the principal's words and praised Xiaofeng. Principal Wang, you're indeed sharp-eyed. Professor Xiaofeng has just arrived, and you can already tell that his medical skills and ethics are profound. Both of you are role models for us to learn from. That's right. We heard that Professor Xiaofeng defeated the exchange student, so we came here to congratulate him. It's our university's honor to have Professor Xiaofeng in Provincial Capital University. It's the students' fortune to have Professor Xiaofeng in the medical college. Qin Feng was almost praised as a saint by these old men. Professor Ling Qingyuan stood to the side and didn't come over to flatter Xiaofeng. However, Ling Qingyuan's eyes flickered, and he kept staring at Qin Feng. He looked from head to toe, and from tail to tail, scaring Qin Feng. This old man couldn't have taken a fancy to him, right? Principal Wang, seniors, I'm just a Chinese medicine teacher who has just arrived. How could I trouble all of you to come and congratulate me? Even if you're here to congratulate me, it's fine as long as you're here. Why do you have to give me gifts? I won't accept money if you're giving me gifts. Aren't you insulting me? Xiaofeng chuckled as he looked at the crowd. These people looked down on Qin Feng before, but now they came to fawn over him. It was only right for Qin Feng to trick them. Principal Wang and the other old professors were obviously stunned. However, Principal Wang quickly regained his senses and said, "Ha ha ha, Professor Xiaofeng, I almost forgot that you represented Provincial Capital University and defeated the exchange student from St. Second Medical College. You've helped Provincial Capital University regain its reputation, so I'll increase your bonus this month on behalf of Provincial Capital University. It'll be given to you together with your salary." Qin Feng was not short of money, so he just mentioned it casually. Since Wang Zhonghua was willing to give him a bonus, Qin Feng naturally would not refuse. It's the fortune of us teachers to have such a wise principal like Principal Wang. Qin Feng chuckled and nodded his head. Isn't that right? Principal Wang cherishes talents the most. He's definitely the wisest principal in Provincial Capital University. What a blessing. We're all blessed. The professors, deans, Qin Feng, and Principal Wang stood there and praised each other. The students were dumbstruck when they saw this scene. Were all the older people this shameless? Principal Wang chatted with Qin Feng for a while before remembering something else. Principal Wang hurriedly ran out of the classroom. Not long after, he ran back, but this time there was a young man by his side. The young man had blonde hair and blue eyes. He exuded the noble aura of a prince. When the young man entered the classroom, all the girls in the classroom shrieked crazily. They completely disregarded the psychological trauma the other boys, Xiaofeng, and the old men were feeling. Wang Zhonghua felt as if his eardrums were about to burst. He quickly waved his hand to stop the screaming students, then led the young man to the podium. He smiled at Qin Feng and said, "Professor Xiaofeng, this is a transfer student who just arrived today. I'll put him in class 1. I believe that this student will only learn real things if he follows you. Oh, by the way, student, introduce yourself to everyone." The young man stood in the middle of the podium with a gentlemanly smile and prepared to introduce himself. Qin Feng's gaze fell on the young man's face. He carefully examined the young man as if he wanted to see through him. Qin Feng recognized this young man. Wasn't this Prince William from Ghost Mountain in the suburbs of the provincial capital? At that time, there was also a martial artist wrapped in a black cloth bag, but he didn't appear. "Hello, 9th year. My name is Prince Wei, and I come from Australia. I'm very pleased to be able to come to China to study and become a 9th year classmate. In the future, please take care of me." Prince William introduced himself in broken Chinese. After he finished his introduction, Many of the students below the podium still had blank expressions. It was clear that they didn't understand what Prince Wei was saying. Qin Feng had experienced the power of Prince William's broken Chinese on Ghost Mountain. At that time, Prince William said, Qin Feng killed his little brother Williams, so he wants Qin Feng's life. In the end, Qin Feng heard it as, Qin Feng pierced his little brother William's hen, so he wants Qin Feng's dick. Qin Feng was very angry at that time. He clearly didn't pierce a hen, and he didn't have a dick. Was there something wrong with this foreigner's brain? Now that he heard Prince William's broken Chinese again, Qin Feng understood everything. This guy was introducing himself, but he changed his original name from Prince William to Prince Wei. He was clearly a member of the William family in America, but he said he was from Australia. Prince William was obviously hiding his identity. His actions made Qin Feng confirm that this person was one of the people sent by the William family to infiltrate China for a secret mission. Prince William still had his original appearance, but Qin Feng had changed his identity to Qiao Feng. Just thinking about it made Qin Feng excited. Ha ha ha. Everyone probably didn't understand Prince Wei's self-introduction, right? Then let me translate for everyone. This student is called Prince Wei. He said he came to China angrily. When he saw all of you, he thought you were all very unsophisticated. He won't be friends with you. Your statuses are too low, so don't expect to hang out with him. After Qin Feng translated Prince William's words, Principal Wang, the group of old men, and the 56 students in the audience were all shocked. They looked at Qin Feng with astonished expressions, as if they were questioning Qin Feng's translation skills. Qin Feng looked innocent and shrugged his shoulders. Don't look at me like that. I translate it from Prince Wei's original words. If you don't believe me, you can ask him. Prince Wei, you're very handsome. Am I right? Qin Feng smiled as he looked at Prince William. Prince William's Chinese was terrible, and when Qin Feng was translating, he deliberately spoke very fast, so Prince William didn't understand at all. Now, Qin Feng spoke very slowly, and he even praised Prince William for his handsomeness. Prince William immediately had a good impression of Qin Feng, and he gave a gentlemanly smile as he nodded at Qin Feng. Teacher, you're absolutely right. P.S. Thank you Nightstorm and Chi-Chi at Baidu Goddess for their tips. The two alliance masters of this book are both cute. Fourth update, I look forward to the birth of a new alliance master. Chapter 597. Teacher, you're absolutely right. Prince William's voice was cultured and refined. He had a trace of a scholar's aura. After he nodded at Qin Feng, he turned to look at his classmates in a daze. When Prince William entered the class, he heard the girls in the class cheering for him. Prince William thought that he was very attractive, so he was prepared to let these girls cheer for him crazily again. Fuck. You're just a little more handsome. Have a higher nose bridge, prettier eyes and golden hair. What's there to be proud of? You look down on us and we look down on you. Some of the boys came to their senses and angrily criticized Prince William's arrogance. However, those boys spoke too quickly. Prince William was confused and thought that they were praising him. So he continued to smile and looked at them. Damn you! How dare you sneer at us? Do you believe that I, your big brother, will go up and slap your handsome face into a dead pig's head? Let's see what else you can be proud of. Big brother Lu Jia, this guy is too despicable. I feel that he can compete with teacher Qin Feng. Say something. Should we kick him out? Many of the boys were very angry. They wanted to rush up to the podium and kick Prince William away. Those love-struck girls were also unhappy. They warmly welcomed Prince William's arrival. They didn't expect him to be so cold. Did he really think that he was a big star? TSK, I misjudged you. You look like Song Xiaobao. Who would want to be friends with you? Teacher Qiao Feng is better. Although he looks a little ordinary, at least no one remembers him after he commits a crime. You're so handsome, do you dare to commit a crime? The boys were shouting fiercely. Many girls joined the boys in condemning Prince William's arrogant attitude. Seeing this scene, Qin Feng was very happy. However, Prince William felt that something was wrong. He quickly looked at Qin Feng and asked, Teacher Qiao Feng, they don't seem to like me. Qin Feng hurriedly patted Prince William's shoulder and said earnestly, Prince William, don't mind them. You're too handsome, and you're born with a noble aura. That's why some of the boys in our class are very envious of you. This is normal, so don't mind them. When Qin Feng spoke to Prince William, he deliberately spoke slowly. Prince William understood everything and became full of confidence. He raised his head and puffed out his chest as he stood on the podium like a proud duckling. Prince William's actions were like a demonstration to everyone. The boys were so angry that they almost threw their smelly shoes at the podium. In the end, they remembered that the principal and several deans and professors of the medical school were still there, so they could only give up on this terrible idea. Prince William was scolded by the students in the audience for a while, but he didn't understand. He thought that everyone was jealous of his good looks. Not only was he not angry, but he also had a smug expression on his face. Wang Zhonghua didn't know if Qiao Feng had a grudge against this foreign student. How could he toy with this student like this? Principal Wang couldn't stand it anymore. He patted Prince William, who was standing on the podium with his head held high and chest puffed out like an idiot, and said, "All right, you've already introduced yourself. Go down and find an empty seat to sit down and listen to the class." Prince William nodded at Wang Zhonghua, then looked at Qin Feng. He felt that Qin Feng was the only good person in the class. He was very friendly to him, and even took the initiative to help him explain the views of his classmates. "Teacher Qiao Feng, thank you for your hard work." Prince William bowed slightly to Qiao Feng, then walked down the podium with his head held high. Ever since he entered the classroom, that pretentious prick had not fallen behind. "Qiao Feng, then you should get to know your classmates first and build a good relationship with them. We won't disturb your class anymore." Wang Zhonggua's purpose for coming here this time had been accomplished. He waved his hand and led the group of old antiques away. Lin Qingyuan followed at the back of the group. When he left, he looked back at Qin Feng a few times with a reluctant look on his face. This scared Qin Feng to death. Don't tell me this old man really likes me? After the group of people left, Qin Feng began to chat with the others. In fact, Qin Feng was very familiar with the students in the class. However, to avoid exposing his identity, Qin Feng still asked everyone to introduce themselves one by one. When Hua Yan and Xiao Shishir stood up to introduce themselves, Qin Feng deliberately made things difficult for the two girls. His words were full of flirting with the two girls. At this time, Avril and the other 5 exchange students had already returned to their student dormitory. As soon as they arrived at the entrance, they saw Professor Mike and a group of lecturers from the St. Medic Institute waiting for them at the entrance. Professor Mike. Avril and the other 4 walked up to the professor and the lecturers and greeted the professor dejectedly. They didn't need Professor Mike to say anything. They already knew why Professor Mike brought them here. There's no need to say anything. I already know what happened. Let's go upstairs first, then we'll discuss the specific plan. Professor Mike waved his hand, signaling the 5 of them to stop talking. Then he turned around and walked into the student dormitory. The group of people entered the dormitory in a grandiose manner and entered Professor Mike's room. The room was very spacious, and the furnishings inside were clean and simple. It didn't seem crowded even with a dozen people standing in the room. After entering the room, Professor Mike sat down while the other lecturers and Avril and the other 4 stood to the side. "Tell me, how did you guys lose?" Professor Mike looked at the 5 of them with a profound gaze. He had high hopes for these 5 students, and with their strength, they shouldn't have lost to the students from Provincial Capital University. The 5 of them remained silent. After a while, Owen took the initiative to speak up after seeing that no one else was talking. "Professor Mike, the person who defeated us wasn't a medical student. He's a teacher about the same age as us, and he just arrived today." "A new teacher? About the same age as you guys? He defeated all 5 of you by himself?" Professor Mike's eyes lit up. "Yes, he saved an epileptic patient. We couldn't do anything because we didn't have any medical equipment, but he did it." Owen answered Professor Mike seriously. He seemed to recall the scene of Qin Feng using acupuncture to save people, and his voice trembled slightly. "How did he save the epileptic patient?" Mike's voice wavered with excitement. Owen stuttered for a long time, but he couldn't tell what technique Qin Feng used. The other 3 men also lowered their heads in silence. At this moment, Avril's beautiful eyes lit up, and she said, "He used needle manipulation." Crack! A crisp sound rang out. It was the sound of Professor Mike crushing the glass in his hand. Professor Mike's expression changed unpredictably. Even he didn't realize that he was so excited that he stood up. Professor Mike, are you all right? Avril saw that Professor Mike had lost his composure, so she quickly reminded him. Haha, I'm fine. I was thinking about something else just now, and I was a little carried away. Professor Mike returned to his senses. He smiled and sat back in his chair. He continued, needle manipulation should be a Chinese acupuncture technique, right? It seems like this new teacher has a very profound foundation in Chinese medicine. It's not your fault that the 5 of you lost to him. Owen and the other 4 heaved a sigh of relief when they heard Professor Mike's words. Willis took a step forward and said unwillingly, Professor Mike, the new teacher is called Xiaofeng. He defeated the 5 of us today and tarnished the reputation of the St. Medic University. The 5 of us are willing to accept punishment, but Professor Mike, please take some people to defeat Xiaofeng and regain the reputation of the St. Medic University. Professor Mike waved his hand. I've already said that it's not your fault for this failure, so I won't punish you. As for the reputation that you lost this time, I'll naturally help you regain it. It's getting late, so everyone is free to do whatever you want and rest early tonight. Tomorrow morning, I'll personally lead the team to the medical college to meet that teacher called Xiaofeng. That's great. As long as Professor Mike leads the team, we'll definitely win. The 5 of them were excited. Obviously, they had great trust in Professor Mike's medical skills. After talking about the defeat, Professor Mike yawned and said, sigh. I'm getting old and I'm always sleepy. Everyone go back to your own business. Rest early, Professor Mike. We'll take our leave now. The representatives of the lecturers bid farewell to Professor Mike and left the room with Willis and the other 4. Avril walked at the back of the crowd and was responsible for closing the door. When she closed the door, Professor Mike nodded at the door and Avril nodded back. It seemed to be a special way of communication. The St. Medic University had already decided that Professor Mike would personally lead the team to challenge Xiaofeng tomorrow. However, Qin Feng was still unaware of this as he was enjoying his time in the university. Student Huayan, don't go yet. I want to talk to you alone. The bell rang and the students walked out of the classroom in 2s and 3s. Many female students took the initiative to invite Qin Feng to watch a movie or have dinner that night, but Qin Feng tactfully rejected them. The female students thought that Xiaofeng was really a righteous man, and they admired him more and more. However, when they heard that he wanted to make Huayan stay after school, they turned around and ran out of the classroom angrily. Bang! Instead of Huayan, a mountain came to Qin Feng. When Lu Jie stood in front of Qin Feng and slammed his palm on Qin Feng's desk, Qin Feng wanted to kick him to death. Hey, I'm warning you, don't think that I'm afraid of you just because you're a teacher. I'm telling you, I'm the boss of Class 1, and Huayan is my sister-in-law. If you dare to do anything to her, I'll kill you right here and now. Lu Jie glared at Xiaofeng furiously. He had tolerated Xiaofeng for the entire afternoon because Qin Feng had been flirting with Huayan and Xiao Shishir in class. Student, you'd better speak nicely to me. Otherwise, I'll tell your dad about you wrecking his Buick. Qin Feng looked at Lu Jie indifferently. He thought that Lu Jie had grown a pair of wings. Lu Jie's inner chi was broken instantly, and sweat beaded on his forehead. He looked at Qin Feng nervously and doubtfully. Oh my god, Professor Xiaofeng, I was just joking with you. What do you think of my cold jokes? It's not that I'm bragging, but I'm the king of cold jokes in class. Lu Jie changed his attitude and tried to please Qin Feng. Halfway through his speech, Lu Jie suddenly thought of something. He looked at Qin Feng vigilantly and asked, Huh? How did you know that my old man's car was smashed by someone? Who are you? Are you kidding me? Did you really wreck my old man's car? I just said it casually to scare you. I didn't expect to really bump into you. Student Lu Jie, I have something on you. Be careful next time. Qin Feng looked at Lu Jie with a smirk. Lu Jie straightened his back and said angrily, Humph. My old man found out a long time ago that his car was wrecked. A few days ago, he hung me upside down on a tree and whipped me for a day and a night. It's all in the past now. Don't you dare use it to threaten me. Let me tell you, if you dare to mess with my sister-in-law again, I won't forgive you. Qin Feng stared at Lu Jie blankly. He wondered if Lu Jie was picked up from a garbage dump. The family's punishment was too harsh. However, Qin Feng felt warm when he saw how protective Lu Jie was of Hua Yan. He knew that Lu Jie was doing this for his sake. Fatty, you keep calling Hua Yan sister-in-law. Who's your big brother? Qin Feng wanted to confirm it again. If Lu Jie was his big brother, Qin Feng would have stomped him to death on the spot. Chapter 598. Humph. There's only one man in this world who can be my big brother Lu Jie's man, and that's teacher Qin Feng. Lu Jie patted his chest proudly. Tears welled up in Qin Feng's eyes and he felt like crying. Did you see that? This is a true brother. It had been a long time since Qin Feng last saw Lu Jie. Hearing such touching words from Lu Jie as soon as he saw him, Qin Feng was moved. He remembered the orange-grade overlord slash that he obtained from Sima Haoran when he annihilated the Sima family in Acropolis City. The broadsword was 2 meters long, comparable to the green dragon crescent blade that Qin Feng had previously obtained. The last time Lu Jie and Qin Feng went to the warrior town's blacksmith shop, Lu Jie had his eyes on the green dragon crescent blade, which wasn't even a spiritual weapon. Qin Feng had purposely left this orange-grade overlord slash for Lu Jie, and now he was going to give it to him. However, after Qin Feng flipped his hand over a few times, he suddenly realized that he had temporarily lost contact with the Hedonist sovereign system, so he couldn't take out the spirit equipment. Hey, why are you flipping your palm over and over again? Are you trying to show off to me? If you have the guts, let's go out and fight. Lu Jie misunderstood Qin Feng's intention, but Qin Feng wasn't angry. He smiled at Lu Jie and said, "Classmate Lu Jie, I think you're a martial artist. I have an orange quality overlord's chop at home. The handle of the overlord's chop is 1 meter long, and the broadsword is more than 1 meter long. The entire overlord's chop emits a faint orange glow, and its blade is sharp enough to cut through iron as if it were mud. I think it's very suitable for martial artists of your size. I'll give it to you in 2 days." Lu Jie, who was yelling at Qin Feng a second ago, was petrified. Orange-grade spiritual weapon? It was a rare treasure that even the 4 major families in the provincial capital couldn't get their hands on. Lu Jie was a stage 4 inner chi martial artist now, but he didn't even have a decent weapon. Lu Jie's expression changed when he heard Qin Feng's words. He rubbed his chubby hands and smiled at Qin Feng. "Ahahaha. Teacher Qiao Feng, why didn't you say so earlier? Otherwise, I wouldn't have offended you. Did you want to go on a date with Hua Yan? Don't worry, I'll take care of this. I have a good relationship with Hua Yan, so I'll put in a good word for you in front of her in the future. I'll make sure you two are a couple." Qin Feng's face was as dark as the bottom of a pot. He really wanted to take back what he had said earlier. A brother like Lu Jiesai. He had misjudged Qiao Feng Laosher? What's wrong with you? Say something. When are you going to give me the overlord's chop? Why don't I go back with you and take it from your house? Lu Jie waved his hand in front of Qin Feng's eyes. He thought Qin Feng was asleep. Qin Feng snapped out of his rage and glared at Lu Jie. "Get lost. I'd rather keep my overlord slash at home to chop vegetables than give it to you." Qin Feng was furious. He left Lu Jie behind and walked out of the classroom. Hua Yan was nowhere to be seen. Qin Feng called out to Hua Yan. He wanted to give her the fire spirit pill to see if she could become a dual attribute demonic cultivator. It seemed like he could only find another opportunity to give it to Hua Yan. "Miss Shishir, wait for me." Qin Feng could not find Hua Yan, but he saw Qiao Shishir, who was not far away. Qiao Shishir was like a fairy who had been forgotten in the mortal world. She stopped and turned around to look at Qiao Feng. "Professor Qiao Feng, what's the matter?" "It's nothing." "All right, are you free tonight? I'll treat you to dinner and a movie." When Qin Feng saw Qiao Shishir, he recalled the scene in Devil Beast Mountain not long ago. Qiao Shishir's slender body floated in the air. Her fine black hair fluttered in the wind as she summoned powerful demonic beasts. If Qin Feng did not see it with his own eyes, he would never believe that Qiao Shishir had such a strange ability. "I'm sorry, I have something to do tonight. You should find someone else." Qiao Shishir blushed. She thought Qiao Feng was confessing to her. "I see. I'll ask you out next time. Shishir, where's your house? I'll send you back." Qin Feng still had a mission related to Qiao Shishir. He needed to gain Qiao Shishir's trust. Qin Feng had taken advantage of Qiao Shishir at Devil Beast Mountain, and they almost had sex. Qin Feng felt that it was impossible for him to gain Qiao Shishir's trust with his original identity. Therefore, he planned to use Qiao Feng's identity to get in touch with Qiao Shishir again. Okay, let's go together. Qiao Shishir did not reject Qin Feng this time. This surprised Qin Feng because it did not fit Qiao Shishir's personality. Qiao Shishir seemed to have noticed Qiao Feng's confusion. She smiled faintly, like a white lotus blooming on a snowy mountain, and said, "It's because our surnames are Qiao." Qiao Shishir's words came out of nowhere. Then the smile on her face disappeared, and a trace of pain and disappointment flashed across her beautiful eyes. Qin Feng had no idea what was going through her mind. Looking at her lonely face, Qin Feng wanted to hug her and comfort her. The two of them walked side by side on the streets and alleys. It was as if time had stopped and they were the only ones in the world. Qin Feng felt that he had been deceived by Qiao Shishir. Qiao Shishir promised Qin Feng to send her home, but Qin Feng felt like he was walking alone. Qiao Shishir lowered her head and did not speak a word. She never took the initiative to speak to Qin Feng. Sometimes Qin Feng even felt that this girl was invisible. He could not understand her and could not integrate into her world. Qin Feng was worried that Qiao Shishir would bump into an electric pole or a car with her head lowered. If that was the case, Qin Feng could jump in front of Qiao Shishir, spread his arms to protect her, and whisper some sweet nothings to her. Qiao Shishir would be so touched that she would fall into Qin Feng's arms. She would be so touched that she would burst into tears. Qin Feng's fantasy of saving the damsel in distress did not come true. To his surprise, Qiao Shishir seemed to have eyes all over her body. Every time she encountered an obstacle in front of her, Qiao Shishir didn't even need to lift her head. Qiao Shishir suddenly stopped and raised her head. She looked at Qin Feng expressionlessly as if she could read his mind. She said calmly, "If I tell you that I can read animals' language, so even if I walk with my eyes closed, I can sense the communication between small animals and analyze whether there is an obstacle in front of me, would you believe me?" Qiao Shishir didn't sound like she was asking Qin Feng a question. She sounded more like she was talking to herself. After she finished speaking, the corner of her beautiful lips curled into a graceful curve as if she was mocking herself. Qin Feng seemed to be able to sense Qiao Shishir's loneliness. She was a natural spirit beast master, and she was born with the ability to read animals' languages. She probably discovered that she was different from the others when she was young, and she excitedly wanted to share this special ability with her friends. However, her classmates treated her like a monster and kept their distance from her. If Qin Feng's guess was correct, he could understand why Qiao Shishir was so lonely and deliberately avoided making friends. However, what Qin Feng couldn't understand was that Qiao Shishir's eyes were filled with loneliness, pain, and even a hint of murderous aura. In order to complete the system's mission and gain Qiao Shishir's trust as soon as possible, Qin Feng had been observing Qiao Shishir throughout the journey. That was how he discovered these details. Qin Feng felt that this mission was very difficult. He had known Qiao Shishir for a long time, but he had never seen through her heart. "I believe you have this ability. I heard that angels can understand the language of all living things." Qin Feng smiled at Qiao Shishir after he recovered from his momentary daze. Qiao Shishir's expression suddenly froze, and the way she looked at Qin Feng changed. Once again, Qin Feng saw the smile on Qiao Shishir's face. She was still as beautiful as ever. "Thank you. I've reached my home. I'm going back now." Qiao Shishir waved at Qiao Feng and walked into a small alley. Qin Feng started to look around. He was in an old district of the provincial capital. The houses were built in the style of old Sihiyuan. The environment and security were terrible. Qiao Shishir lived here? It seemed like her family wasn't very well off. "Please go away. Don't bother me anymore." Qin Feng was still in a daze when he heard Qiao Shishir's angry voice. He quickly ran to her. In a remote alley, 3 sloppy men surrounded Qiao Shishir. All 3 of them had perverted smiles on their faces, and their gazes wandered up and down Qiao Shishir's body without the slightest scruple. Qiao Shishir leaned her back against the corner of the wall. Other than a hint of nervousness, her eyes were filled with coldness and anger. "Little beauty, don't be angry. We're not bad guys. We've been waiting here every day for you to finish school. We've been waiting for you for a week. Every night, we sincerely invite you to watch a movie and treat you to a big meal. If you don't agree to our invitation tonight, won't it be a little unreasonable? One of the three men with green hair grinned at Xiao Shishir. He slowly inched forward, trying to get close to Xiao Shishir. Go away. Xiao Shishir became agitated. Her beautiful brows knitted together. It was obvious that she hated the three men's behavior. Bitch, don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. We've been waiting here for a week. Do you really think we're patient enough to wait for you to accept our invitation? We've been investigating you for the past few days. You've been renting a house here all by yourself. You don't even have any relatives or friends. If you don't accompany us to drink tonight, I'll drag you to the corner of the wall and kill you on the spot. The green-haired man's expression changed drastically. He had shed all pretense of cordiality. Xiao Shishir was also worried. She looked around nervously as if she was looking for something. Bitch, are you going to call for help? Let's see how you're going to call for help after I cover your mouth. Ha ha ha. The green-haired man thought Xiao Shishir was going to call for help. He took off his jacket and covered Xiao Shishir's head with it. Stop. Qin Feng had witnessed everything that had transpired. Unconsciously, he clenched his fists and strode to Xiao Shishir's side. Bastard, where the hell did you come from? If you know what's good for you, get out of here. The green-haired man was startled by Qin Feng's sudden appearance, but he quickly calmed down and started to threaten Qin Feng. Qin Feng ignored green-haired man and the other two. After he arrived, he checked on Xiao Shishir's condition. Seeing that Xiao Shishir wasn't injured, Qin Feng calmed down. He slowly turned around and looked at green-haired man. Do you want to hit me? If you don't get out of here, I'll hit you. The green-haired man roared arrogantly. As soon as he finished speaking, Qin Feng's fist landed on the green-haired man's face. He flipped backward and fell to the ground. What a coincidence. I want to hit you too. Seeing their big brother fall to the ground after being hit, the legs of the two little brothers who were still standing trembled. They quickly turned around and ran, not even caring about their big brother. The green-haired man covered his bruised eyes and screamed in pain. Qin Feng ignored him and looked at Xiao Shishir. It's okay now. Don't be afraid. Chapter 599. Naturally, Qin Feng didn't care about the two hooligans. Even if they called for more than 100 hooligans, Qin Feng alone could take care of them. Classmate Shishir, do you live near here? The security here isn't very good. I'll walk you to your house. Otherwise, I'll be worried, Qin Feng said to Xiao Shishir. Xiao Shishir gripped the hem of her shirt tightly with an unnatural expression on her face. Before she could say anything, the two hooligans who ran away earlier came back angrily. Motherfucker, how dare you touch our brother green hair? You're courting. The two hooligans rushed to the entrance of the alley, but before they could finish their threats, they suddenly ran away again. Qin Feng and Xiao Shishir were dumbfounded by their strange behavior. They looked at each other with blank expressions on their faces. Soon Qin Feng heard a flurry of hurried footsteps rushing in their direction. Based on the sound alone, there were at least 20 to 30 people. The two lackeys that had just run away rushed to the mouth of the alley again. They each had a wooden stick in their hands. Behind them, 20 or so people quickly rushed over. Seeing this scene, Qin Feng understood. Those two idiotic lackeys had come to the front to show off, but when they realized that the reinforcements behind them hadn't caught up, they ran back in fear to wait for reinforcements halfway through their threat. Motherfucker, you dare to touch our brother green hair? You're looking for death, brat. The two lackeys finally finished saying the vicious words they didn't dare to say before. Facing over 20 fiendish hooligans, Qin Feng had the urge to laugh at this moment. Xiao Shishir wasn't as relaxed as Qin Feng. She looked a little nervous as she hid behind Qin Feng. Her eyes darted back and forth as if she was looking for something. Is this the brother green hat you were talking about? Qin Feng pointed at green hair, who was lying on the ground with a bloody nose and a swollen face. He shook his head and sighed. I don't know what kind of big brother you are. Even your hooligans call you brother green hat. How many green hats do you think you've worn? If I'm not mistaken, this hooligan has even slept with sister-in-law. Qin Feng looked at the lackey with the wooden stick. The lackey was so scared that his face turned pale. He hastily yelled, "Nonsense! I've never slept with sister-in-law. It was sister-in-law who seduced me that time. Voila! The crowd suddenly burst into an uproar. More than 20 big hoodlums' gazes fell on that underling, and their eyes were filled with shock. The underling holding the wooden stick also realized that he had said the wrong thing. He was so scared that he was drenched in sweat, as if he had been drenched in a heavy rain. Stinking brat, you dare to slander me? Brothers, don't listen to his nonsense. He beat our green hat. Baba, green hair bro until his face is swollen. We're going to break his arms and legs. The lackey holding the wooden stick was afraid that Qin Feng would speak nonsense again. So he waved the wooden stick and pounced at Qin Feng. Halfway there, the lackey abruptly stopped. He looked back and realized that no one was following him. He was so scared that he hurriedly ran back. Bang! Before the lackey could get far, Qin Feng kicked him and sent him flying into someone else's courtyard house. The 20 or so hooligans were dumbstruck. They never thought that Qin Feng could send someone flying with one kick. He was obviously not someone to be trifled with. The 20 or so people stared at Qin Feng. For a moment, none of them dared to teach Qin Feng a lesson. Motherfucker, why are you guys still standing there like idiots? All of you attack. Kill that man and capture the woman. I want to fuck her to death. The green-haired man who was lying on the ground was so angry that he was about to die. He endured the pain on his face and roared. The 20 or so hooligans immediately came to their senses and pounced at Qin Feng. Teacher Qiao Feng, you go first. Suddenly, Qiao Shishi's emotionless voice came from behind Qin Feng. Qin Feng turned around and saw that Qiao Shishi's beautiful eyes had lost their luster. It was as if her soul had been sucked out. Her long hair slowly fluttered, and more than half of it stood on top of her head. She looked very scary. The hooligans who had already rushed to Qin Feng were shocked. They thought that Qiao Shishi was going to dress up as a ghost to scare them. Qin Feng was also shocked. He thought that this girl couldn't be summoning demon beasts and wild beasts, right? But this was the provincial capital. Where would the demon beasts and wild beasts come from? Woof woof woof. Meow meow meow. Cluck cluck cluck. Nu nu nu. Just as Qin Feng was puzzled, he heard all kinds of animal cries coming from all directions. The 20 or so hooligans also heard the abnormality. They stopped what they were doing and seemed to have forgotten that they were here to teach Qin Feng a lesson. They looked around curiously to see what was going on. Chirp chirp chirp. Jay 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 jay. Ba 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 ba. More and more animal cries came. From the different cries, Qin Feng could tell that there were more than a dozen different animals. Some ran on the ground, some flew in the sky. Was there a zoo nearby? Damn pigs. There's a big fat pig. Hens. So many old hens. Ayo, is this chicken in heat? Why is it pecking at my leg? Oh no, these dogs must have rabies, right? Don't fucking chase me. Unknowingly, groups of small animals swarmed into the alley from all directions. The small ones were chickens, ducks, cats, and dogs, and the big ones were pigs, horses, cows, and sheep. Not only the animals running on the ground, but even the sparrows and magpies flying in the sky came in pairs. These animals seemed to be under someone's control. They chased after the hooligans in a frenzy and attacked them as soon as they saw them. Many of the hooligans' legs were pecked by the old hens, and their bones were exposed. More people were chased by wild dogs all over the street and were gored into the sky by the horns of bulls. That green-haired bro was the most miserable one. Since he had broken his leg earlier, he couldn't run away at all. His body was covered by the sparrows, and he was about to be swallowed alive by them. Seeing this scene, Qin Feng was dumbfounded. Back in Devil Beast Mountain, Qin Feng had witnessed Qiao Shishi's strength. Initially, Qin Feng thought that Qiao Shishi was only powerful in the deep mountains and forests where wild beasts roamed. He did not expect her to be so powerful in the city. Do not underestimate these little chicks and ducklings. After being controlled by Qiao Shishi, they became members of a suicide squad. Their attacks multiplied, and it seemed like their only goal was to defeat their enemies. Even if they were killed by their enemies, they would at least give their enemies a peck or a blow. Sure, it's about time. Stop. Qin Feng thought his wind-blade martial skill was cruel and could cut off limbs with ease. But now he saw the hooligans being attacked by the frenzied fowls. They were beyond recognition, and their blood flowed like a river. Qiao Shishi's body slowly floated in the air. Her eyes were empty and lifeless, and she had completely lost consciousness. Qin Feng called her a few times, but there was no response. Seeing that some of the hooligans were about to be eaten by the fowls, Qin Feng hastily grabbed Qiao Shishi and pulled her back to the ground. Qiao Shishi was still unconscious, so Qin Feng slapped the back of her neck and knocked her out. Buzz! Qiao Shishi fainted, and the scene around her changed drastically. The frenzied fowls stopped attacking and stood rooted to the ground. A few seconds later, they looked around in bewilderment at their companions and other animals. Could it be that they had transmigrated? Woof! 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 The stray dogs were scared out of their wits. They barked crazily to calm themselves down. Wasn't I paired up with a female dog on the street? Why the hell did I get caught and brought into the zoo? The wild dogs barked, and the other poultry scurried in all directions in fear. In his lifetime, Qin Feng had finally seen a scene of chickens flying and dogs leaping, and the intense scene of poultry fighting each other. Qin Feng shifted his gaze back to Qiao Shishi. She was lying in Qin Feng's arms. Her face was pale, and she slept quietly like a forgotten fairy. Qin Feng couldn't help but caress Qiao Shishi's face. Her skin was smooth and soft, and he couldn't help but caress her face again. After countless caresses, Qiao Shishi suddenly opened her eyes. Qin Feng was so startled that he almost threw her out of his arms. Ahem. Student Shishi, you're finally awake. You gave me a fright just now. Why did you suddenly float in the air? Did you see those frenzied fowls? They saved us. Qin Feng was using Qiao Feng's identity. Even if he knew that Qiao Shishi was a spirit beast master, he couldn't show it. Qiao Shishi shyly struggled out of Qin Feng's arms. Her expression was complicated. After hesitating for a while, Qiao Shishi said to Qin Feng, Teacher Qiao Feng, I told you that I can read animals' language. Do you really believe me? Of course it's true. Did student Shishi call those fowls here? Qin Feng pretended to be enlightened. He was so shocked that his eyeballs almost fell out of their sockets. Qiao Shishi's expression was calm, as if this ability was nothing out of the ordinary to her. Teacher Qiao Feng, my house is not far from here. Let's go back and talk. Qiao Shishi took the initiative to invite Qin Feng to her house. Qin Feng was overjoyed, but he pretended to be serious and said, Student Shishi, it's quite late now. Is it convenient for me to go to your house? Will your parents misunderstand us? Qiao Shishi suddenly stopped. Qin Feng saw her back tremble a few times. Then Qiao Shishi's cold voice sounded, They're not home. Come with me. Qin Feng sensed that Qiao Shishi's mood had suddenly dropped. He couldn't figure out the reason, so he stopped asking and followed behind Qiao Shishi. Qiao Shishi's house was not far away. They just had to walk to the end of the alley and turn a corner. It was a large courtyard house. Vegetables and fruit trees were planted in the courtyard, and the ground was very clean. Qin Feng smelled the fragrance of flowers as soon as he entered the house. There were 5 rooms in the courtyard house, and Qiao Shishi was staying in the smallest room. Just as the two of them arrived at the door, an old lady walked out from the main room. Shishi, you're back, right? You brought a friend home today? It's a boy. Qiao Shishi blushed and quickly went to support the old lady. Grandma Lu, it's getting dark. Don't go out and walk around. It'll be bad if you bump into something. It's fine. Your Grandma Lu is still very healthy. Even if she falls, she can still get up and run. Grandma Lu was a humorous and amiable old lady. She walked to Qin Feng with Qiao Shishi's help. Grandma Lu looked at Qin Feng from head to toe and said with a smile, Io, I'm getting old and my memory is getting worse. I've looked at this young man a few times, but I can't remember his face. Grandma Lu accidentally blurted out the truth, and it made Qiao Shishi laugh. Grandma Lu, it's not that you have a bad memory, but this is the new Chinese medicine teacher in our class. He looks so ordinary that I still can't remember what he looks like. Qin Feng felt helpless when he heard Qiao Shishi and Grandma Lu talking about him. He wondered how ordinary his face was. After thinking for a long time, Qin Feng realized that he had forgotten his current face. Chapter 600. Qiao Shishi was amused by Professor Qiao Feng's sullen expression. She held Grandma Lu's arm and said, Grandma Lu, that old man Zhang you mentioned is a quack. His fortune-telling, talismans, and elixirs are all lies. Professor Qiaofeng is a real Chinese medicine teacher. He's different. Oh. So that's how it is. All right, as long as Shirshir likes it, Grandma Lu said with a peaceful smile. Qiao Shirshir nodded instinctively. Then she realized something was wrong. She quickly shook her head and said, "What are you talking about, Grandma Lu? What's there to like?" Qiao Shirshir's pretty face began to blush. She looked extremely adorable under the sunset glow. Grandma Lu patted Qiao Shirshir's hand and looked at Qiaofeng with a smile. "Teacher Qiaofeng, you're really lucky. Shirshir has been renting a house here for more than a year, and I've never seen her bring anyone home, not even a female classmate. But today she brought you home a male teacher. I've heard that times have changed. Wouldn't a teacher be arrested for dating a student?" Grandma Lu looked at Qin Feng worriedly. Qin Feng and Qiao Shirshir didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Grandma Lu, you can call me Qiaofeng. Now that the world has changed, even grandfathers and granddaughters don't care, let alone a teacher and a student." Grandma Lu's expression changed drastically. She quickly took 2 steps back and looked at Qin Feng cautiously. "How can you do this? Then, are you interested in Grandma Lu?" The corner of Qiao Feng's mouth twitched, but he didn't say anything. Grandma Lu suddenly laughed. She grabbed Qiao Shirshir's hand and placed it in Qin Feng's big hand. "Haha, Grandma Lu is joking with you. Look at how scared you are. Even if you like Grandma Lu, she won't like you. I can't remember your face. I can't recognize you on the street." Qin Feng had the urge to turn around and leave, but when he remembered that he was still holding Qiao Shirshir's soft hand, he decided to bear with it for a while. Grandma Lu continued, "Little Feng, Shirshir is a good girl. She's diligent and thrifty. She's kind-hearted. You have to treat her well. Otherwise, Grandma Lu won't like it." Qiao Shirshir's hand was so soft that it felt like it was boneless. Qin Feng shamelessly grabbed her hand and refused to let go. The blush on Qiao Shirshir's face deepened. She tried to break free from Qin Feng's grip, but when she saw Grandma Lu's happy and satisfied expression, she stopped herself. "Don't worry, Grandma Lu, I'll take good care of Shirshir," Qin Feng said with a smile. Okay, Grandma has high hopes for you too. Then you two go into the house and enjoy yourselves. Grandma is going out to do square dancing. Many old men are waiting for me." Grandma Lu looked at the two of them meaningfully, then walked out of the courtyard with a smile. Whoosh! As soon as Grandma Lu left, Qiao Shirshir shook off Qin Feng's hand and stormed into the room angrily. Qin Feng felt a little guilty and followed them in. Qiao Shirshir's bedroom was small, but it was clean and tidy. The room was filled with a faint fragrance that smelled like Qiao Shirshir. When Qin Feng entered the room, he felt as if he had returned to the ancient times. Qiao Shirshir's room was devoid of modern household appliances. There was no television, refrigerator, washing machine, gas stove, or microwave oven. There was a small stove in the corner with some firewood beside it. Qin Feng guessed that Qiao Shirshir used the stove to cook and bathe every day. "Take a seat. I hope you don't mind my poor family." Qiao Shirshir didn't mind the shabbiness of her room. She took a pot of tea and placed it on the small stove to boil the water. Qiao Shirshir squatted on the floor with her buttocks facing Qin Feng. She was concentrating on lighting the stove. Qin Feng looked at Qiao Shirshir's back and felt a little restless. He quickly regained his composure and went to help Qiao Shirshir start the fire. "Shirshir, let me help you." Qin Feng took the matchbox from Qiao Shirshir's hand and started the fire. Qiao Shirshir's body was pressed against Qin Feng's, so she felt a little uncomfortable. She got up and went to sit on her clean bed. The setting sun shone through the window and shone on Qiao Shirshir's body, painting her with a pink hue. Qiao Shirshir sat quietly on the bed with her head lowered. She was lost in her thoughts, and her figure gradually became transparent like the air. As a hedonistic young master, Qin Feng was tormented to death by starting a fire. When he finally lit the stove, his face was covered with ashes. "You asked me about the poultry just now. I can tell you that I summoned them. I've been able to communicate with animals since I was young. I told others about this when I was very young, but they didn't believe me. They laughed at me and distanced themselves from me. After that, I didn't tell anyone. I hid this secret in my heart and didn't tell anyone." Qiao Shirshir was still sitting on the bed. She seemed to be talking to herself. Her head was lowered. and no one could see her expression. Qin Feng had already started a fire. He pulled over a small stool and sat by the stove. So you really can communicate with animals. I believe you, you're really too amazing. This kind of ability is very magical, even I want to have it. Qin Feng's reaction was out of Qiao Shishi's expectation. She thought Qin Feng would be frightened by her ability. She thought he would cry and point at her, calling her a monster, just like her childhood friends did. However, Qin Feng was not afraid. Instead, he admired her ability. Could it be a way for him to pick up girls? Are you telling the truth? Qiao Shishi raised her head and looked at Qin Feng with uncertainty. She had been a loner since she was young and rarely interacted with others. However, Qiao Shishi could read people's eyes and read their thoughts. Of course it's true. I'm very envious of your ability to communicate with animals. You can even control their minds and make them fight for you. It's cool just thinking about it. Qin Feng looked at Qiao Shishi seriously. Qiao Shishi could see the sincerity in Qin Feng's eyes. He was telling the truth. Qiao Shishi was inexplicably happy. She did not have any friends. It was not that she did not want to make friends, but she was afraid of being hurt by her friends. However, Qiao Feng seemed to be different from others. Qiao Shishi wanted to befriend him because she was too lonely. Professor Qiao Feng, your Chinese medicine skills are amazing. I've only seen 2 people who can use the needle manipulation technique. One is you and the other is... Qiao Shishi paused, and a complicated expression appeared on her face. She suddenly thought of Qin Feng. She was angry and worried at the same time. Qin Feng had taken advantage of Qiao Shishi, but he had also saved her life. Qiao Shishi did not know how to face Qin Feng again. If it was possible, Qiao Shishi hoped that she would never see him again. She wanted this to be a sealed secret. Who is the other person? Are you familiar with him? Qin Feng was eager to know how important Qin Feng was in Qiao Shishi's heart. Qiao Shishi shook her head and lowered her head again. Let's not talk about him. We are not familiar with each other. Qin Feng was slightly disappointed, but he quickly became happy. Qiao Shishi did not have a good impression of Qin Feng, but she still had a good impression of Qiao Feng. Sure. Are you born with the ability to communicate with animals? How do you communicate with them? Can I learn it? Qin Feng's interest was piqued. He felt that Qiao Shishi's summoning ability was too powerful. If he could learn it, he would become even more powerful. Qiao Shishi raised her head again. When she mentioned the summoning ability, Qiao Shishi's beautiful eyes shone brightly. Regardless of what others thought of Qiao Shishi's summoning ability, she was very fond of it. I was born with this ability. Every time I communicate with animals, I can calm down and not think about anything else. It's as if the world has quieted down, and there are only me and the animals left. At that time, I can hear their whispers and become part of their living world. I can talk to them and they like me very much. We are good friends. As for whether you can learn this ability or not, I'm not sure. But if you want to learn, I'll be happy to teach you. Of course, Qin Feng was happy to learn. He immediately ran to Qiao Shishi's side and sat down. Qiao Shishi was startled. This was the first time a man entered her room and sat on her bed. Qiao Shishi couldn't get used to it. What's wrong? Then I'll stand and learn. Qin Feng was also startled by Qiao Shishi's action. He seemed to understand Qiao Shishi's concerns, so he stood aside. After Qiao Shishi regained her composure, she felt a little guilty. Teacher Qiao Feng was able to accept her strange ability, and was willing to stand up for her when she was in danger. But now he just sat on her bed and you're making a fuss out of nothing? It's fine, Teacher Qiao Feng. Please sit down. It's tiring to stand up. Qiao Shishi carefully sat back on the bed. Her hands clutched the hem of her clothes nervously. Qin Feng didn't stand on ceremony and sat down next to Qiao Shishi. There were still a few centimeters between them. Their bodies weren't touching, but from a distance, it looked like they were leaning against each other. Qin Feng smelled the fragrance from Qiao Shishi's body and enjoyed it very much. Qiao Shishi sensed a man's scent in the room. It made her feel uncomfortable, and her little heart thumped non-stop. Shishi, are you feeling hot? Do you want me to help you take off your coat? Qin Feng looked at Qiao Shishi with a smile. Qiao Shishi was startled. She quickly waved her hands. I'm not hot. I'll teach you how to feel the sounds of nature. Xiao Shishir didn't dare to take off her coat. She lived a hard life. She didn't even wear a sweater or thermal underwear under her cotton-padded jacket. She only wore a white camisole. It would be very awkward if she took off her coat. Of course, Qin Feng wouldn't take off Xiao Shishir's coat. He wanted to leave a good impression on Xiao Shishir. Qin Feng hastily sat up and said, "All right, let's begin." Xiao Shishir heaved a sigh of relief when she saw Qiao Feng had calmed down. She looked at Qiao Feng and couldn't help but burst into laughter. Xiao Shishir rarely laughed, but today it was as if she had laughed all the time she had in the past year. Qin Feng was lost in thought as he looked at her smiling face that was as beautiful as a blooming lotus. "Shishir, what's wrong? Are you laughing at me?" Qin Feng looked at Xiao Shishir in puzzlement after he regained his senses. Xiao Shishir covered her mouth and tried to stop laughing, but her thin shoulders were still trembling. "Haha, Professor Qiao Feng, your face is covered with pot dust. You look like a dirty cat." Xiao Shishir laughed so hard that she couldn't catch her breath. Qin Feng finally knew why she was laughing. Qin Feng had always thought that a girl like Xiao Shishir would be difficult to get along with, let alone make her laugh. However, after spending some time with her, Qin Feng realized that he was gravely mistaken. Xiao Shishir didn't have any friends, and she didn't have a childhood. Therefore, she wasn't funny at all. "Haha, I must have gotten it when I started the fire. I've made a fool of myself in front of you. I'm going to wipe it with water. Where's your mirror?" Qin Feng was inexplicably happy when he saw Xiao Shishir was so happy. Chapter 601. You don't have a mirror? No way. Don't you dress yourself up every day? Qin Feng was stunned. "I don't dress up much. I just fetch a bucket of water from the courtyard and tidy my hair while looking at my reflection in the water," said Xiao Shishir. Qin Feng's eyes widened in disbelief. Is this girl really going to live like a savage? But she's still so beautiful even if she doesn't dress up. If she dresses up meticulously, she'll be mesmerizing. "Forget it then, I won't wipe it anymore." Qin Feng didn't mind. After all, his face was too ordinary. A little more dust would leave a deeper impression. Xiao Shishir hesitated for a moment before she got off the bed and took a white towel. She dipped it in the water bucket and returned to Qin Feng's side. "Professor Qiao Feng, if you don't mind, I can help you wipe it off." Qin Feng sat on the edge of the bed while Xiao Shishir stood in front of him. When he looked up, he could see Xiao Shishir's chest. It wasn't as big as Hua Yan and Yan Wu Shuang's, but it was small and exquisite. Qin Feng swallowed a few times. "That's not good. I'll have to trouble Miss Shishir then." Qin Feng pretended to be shy. Xiao Shishir blushed and bent down to wipe Qin Feng's face with the towel. The towel was cold, but Qin Feng didn't mind. Xiao Shishir wiped Qin Feng's face carefully and carefully. Her palm would accidentally touch Qin Feng's face. It was soft and smooth, and Qin Feng enjoyed it very much. Xiao Shishir felt an electric current coursing through her body. She was so shy that her hands trembled. She touched Qin Feng's face more and more frequently. Both of them were very close to each other. Qin Feng looked at Xiao Shishir's face closely. It was fair and flawless. When he moved his gaze downward, he could see her beautiful collarbone and the white skin under her collar. What surprised Qin Feng was that Xiao Shishir was only wearing a white camisole under her cotton-padded jacket even though it was already winter. She looked extremely alluring. Could it be that this lass is deliberately teasing me? Okay. Just as Qin Feng's wicked thoughts sprouted in his mind, Xiao Shishir grabbed the towel and went to wash herself. Looking at Xiao Shishir's back as she squatted on the floor, Qin Feng's heart skipped a beat. It would be great if he could have such a good woman. After washing the towel, Xiao Shishir returned to the bed. The flush on her face had receded, and she had regained her usual composure. It was as if nothing had happened. "Teacher Qiao Feng, why don't I teach you how to sense all living things?" Now that Xiao Shishir was talking about the main topic, Qin Feng cleared his mind and said, "All right, let's begin." After entering the teaching atmosphere, the two of them had already calmed down. Xiao Shishir began to communicate with nature. She seemed to have transformed into another person. Her expression was blank, and her hair fluttered in the wind. Xiao Shishir's voice rang in Qin Feng's mind, telling him how to sense everything. Following Xiao Shishir's instructions, Qin Feng realized that he could really enter a state where he forgot himself. It was as if time had stopped, and the noise around him had disappeared. All that was left were him and Xiao Shishir, as well as the whispers of all living things around him. Teacher Xiaofeng, you're amazing. You can really enter the mirror of all creation. This is not something that anyone can teach you. Xiao Shishir's surprised voice rang in Qin Feng's mind. Qin Feng was also surprised. He just wanted to give it a try, but he didn't expect that he could enter the mirror of all creation so quickly. What does the mirror of all creation mean? As if she could read Qin Feng's mind, Xiao Shishir continued, the mirror of all creation is to sense all living things and merge with all living things. Qin Feng nodded, but he didn't fully understand. He communicated with Xiao Shishir through his mind. Shishir, what realm is after the mirror of all creation? What realm are you in now? Above all living things is the sovereign realm. The sovereign realm means that all living things are at my disposal, and I am the master of all living things. Qin Feng was shocked. Although he hadn't entered the sovereign realm yet, he knew that it was a very powerful realm based on Xiao Shishir's explanation. I've just entered the sovereign realm. Xiao Shishir's last sentence shocked Qin Feng even more. This seemingly weak girl is already in the sovereign realm? Doesn't that mean she can rule all living things? If someone offended this girl, wouldn't that person die a horrible death? Xiao Shishir seemed to have heard Qin Feng's thoughts, and she added, the sovereign realm is very complicated. I've just entered the sovereign realm, so I can only summon low-level beasts and wild beasts. Moreover, I won't use my summoning ability unless I have no other choice, just like those bad guys today. Qin Feng nodded. He knew that Xiao Shishir was a kind-hearted girl. After learning that summoning was so powerful, Qin Feng calmed his mind and tried to enter the sovereign realm according to Xiao Shishir's method. However, he tried again and again, but he still couldn't enter the sovereign realm. He felt that something was missing. Who? Qin Feng didn't know how much time had passed, but the moon was already high up in the sky. He let out a long sigh and finally gave up. Qin Feng realized that even though he was sitting on the bed doing nothing, the exhaustion of his energy was more than 100 times more tiring than physical labor. Xiao Shishir's fluttering hair fell to the ground, and soon she returned to reality. Aya, it's so late. Teacher Xiaofeng, do you want to stay for dinner? Xiao Shishir didn't expect that Teacher Xiaofeng could enter the mirror of all creation. It was a miracle to her. Xiao Shishir felt that she had finally found a companion, and her attitude towards Qin Feng had changed. Qin Feng rubbed his stomach. He was indeed hungry. Sure, you go wash the vegetables and I'll cook them later. Let's work together. Won't it be tiring? Qin Feng smiled and said, No, it's not tiring. Xiao Shishir's face blushed slightly. Fortunately, it wasn't that obvious under the moonlight. Xiao Shishir nodded and hastily grabbed some vegetables and ran out of the courtyard. Turned out that this girl lived here. She had to go to the well in the courtyard to fetch water and wash her clothes. Qin Feng went to the small stove. The water in the teapot was almost dry, and the firewood in the small stove was almost finished. Qin Feng hurriedly took the teapot away and found a few pieces of firewood to start a fire. Qin Feng picked up the matchbox and put it back. He was a man who possessed the destructive fire, so he had to use the coolest way to start a fire. Although he had lost contact with the Hedonist sovereign system, Qin Feng's flames of destruction weren't stored in the system. When he killed the flame wolf at Devil Beast Mountain, he swallowed the flame wolf's demon core. That flame of destruction was Qin Feng's own fire seed. Rumble. Qin Feng glanced at the door. Seeing that Xiao Shishir hadn't returned, he quickly sent a ball of fire into the stove. The fire of destruction was extremely powerful. It rose 3 meters high in an instant and burned the roof. Qin Feng was shocked by the scene in front of him. The place where the fire came into contact with the fire spread rapidly. At this rate, the whole house would be burned to ashes. Qin Feng came back to his senses. He quickly picked up a large water jar in the corner of the house and poured all the cold water into the fire. However, when the water came into contact with the fire of destruction, it instantly evaporated into steam and disappeared. The raging fire was not damaged in the slightest. Damn, it's not a good thing that the fire seed is too strong. Qin Feng immediately came to his senses. This was the fire of destruction. How could ordinary well water extinguish it? Qin Feng had a feeling that he was hanging by a thread. He wanted to ask Little Pig for help, but the system couldn't contact it. Qin Feng quickly tried to control the fire with his mind. The fire seed, which was flying everywhere, began to gather according to Qin Feng's will. Finally, it flew back into Qin Feng's body. Qin Feng was stunned by the scene in front of him. He had fought with the fire of destruction on Devil Beast Mountain, but at that time he could only release the fire seed. He couldn't control it. Could this have something to do with him entering the mirror of all creation? He could feel all things, but he couldn't control them. Qin Feng still couldn't figure it out, but he didn't have the mood to think about it. He noticed that Xiao Shishir was standing at the door, looking at the situation in the house with a blank face. The house looked like it had been robbed. There was a lot of water on the floor, and some pots, bowls, ladles and other utensils were knocked to the ground in Qin Feng's haste. Teacher Xiao Feng, what did you do just now? Xiao Shishir put the washed dishes to the side and turned on the light in the room. As soon as the light was turned on, Xiao Shishir covered her mouth and screamed, "The stove? Where's the stove? The large water jar is gone. How can this be?" Xiao Shishir was shocked. She went out to wash the dishes for less than 5 minutes, and when she came back the whole house had changed. If it wasn't for Xiao Feng staying in the room, Xiao Shishir would have thought that the house had been robbed. Qin Feng regained his senses. He looked at Xiao Shishir with a puzzled expression and said, "Shishir, what stove? What large water jar? What nonsense are you talking about?" "I'm not talking nonsense. Did you forget that there's a small stove and a large water tank in the corner of my house? When you entered the house, you even lit the stove. Also, the teapot is gone, right? The basin I used to wash your face is gone." Xiao Shishir looked aggrieved. She was so anxious that she was about to cry. The things she mentioned just now were the big things in the house. Qin Feng knew that the things that disappeared were melted by the fire of destruction. Now they had turned into water pure qi and drifted away to God knows where. Qin Feng would never admit to such a thing. He looked at Xiao Shishir with a straight face and said, "Shishir, are you sick? Let me feel your forehead. Oh my, why is it so hot? You must have a fever. You don't have a stove or a water jar in your house. I haven't seen it since I entered the house." Qin Feng's hand was still on Xiao Shishir's forehead. It was so comfortable to touch that Xiao Shishir forgot about the stove and the water jar. She blushed and blushed. Qin Feng was afraid that Xiao Shishir would continue to question him. He quickly pushed Xiao Shishir onto the bed, removed her shoes and covered her with the blanket. After he was done, Qin Feng turned around and ran out of the house. When he was at the entrance of the courtyard, he said, "Shishir, it's late. Teacher has gone back. You should rest early. You'll be fine after a good night's sleep." Xiao Shishir was baffled by Qiao Feng's actions. When she recalled how Qiao Feng grabbed her leg and helped her take off her shoes, her cheeks burned even hotter. However, a handsome face appeared in Xiao Shishir's mind. It was Qin Feng's face. When she recalled the ambiguous scene that happened between her and Qin Feng on Devil Beast Mountain, Xiao Shishir's beautiful eyes were filled with disappointment. She admired Xiao Feng, but she couldn't be with him because her body was touched by another man. She felt that it was unfair to Xiao Feng. What an innocent and cute girl. After Qin Feng left Xiao Shishir's rented courtyard, he took out his cell phone and ordered takeout. It was fine for Qin Feng to skip dinner, but he couldn't let Xiao Shishir go hungry. Moreover, Xiao Shishir's stove was burned by Qin Feng. She couldn't cook even if she wanted to. After Qin Feng ordered the takeout, he went online and ordered a gas stove, a water heater, and other household appliances. He wrote Xiao Shishir's address on the address. When Qin Feng remembered that Xiao Shishir only wore a camisole in the winter, he quickly went to the clothing store and bought dozens of coats, sweaters, and undergarments. Only then was he satisfied. "Be big brother, save me. I beg you, please save me." Just as Qin Feng placed his order and put away his cell phone, he saw a person lying on the ground in front of the alley. The person stretched out a bloody hand and begged for help. Chapter 602. Qin Feng quickly regained his senses. He was a stage 6 inner chi hybrid genius who cultivated martial, demon, and corpse arts. How could he be scared by a stinking brat? As a top-notch hedonistic young master, Qin Feng had naturally heard of many people who liked to play pranks at night. They would dress up as ghosts in elevators and scare people in the toilet. In high school, Qin Feng even had his lackeys dress up as ghosts to scare girls in the middle of the night. When the little beauty was trembling like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered, Qin Feng would descend from the sky, save the beauty, beat up the evil ghost, and successfully get a room. Qin Feng felt that he had too many glorious achievements in picking up girls. If he really had to list them one by one, he wouldn't even be able to finish 1/10 of them in an entire book. Qin Feng strode over to the evil ghost and sent it flying with a kick. "Ah, big brother, why did you hit me? I'm already miserable enough." The evil ghost screamed in the air and fell to the ground with broken legs. Qin Feng felt that the ghost's voice was somewhat familiar. He strode to the evil ghost's side and carefully looked at it a few times before he recognized it. It was Brother Green Hat who tried to stop Xiao Shishir in the afternoon. Qin Feng was very angry when he recognized Brother Green Hat. He raised his leg and fiercely stomped on him. "You bastard, you can't beat me, so you use this kind of despicable method to scare me? Do you think I'm scared?" Qin Feng's stomp was very heavy and almost made Brother Green Hat's intestines come out. Green Hat had a sullen and painful expression. He wanted to say something but couldn't. When he opened his mouth, it turned into a scream. Qin Feng beat him for a while before he finished and turned to leave. Brother Green Hat hurriedly called out to Qin Feng. Big brother, don't go. Save me. If you don't take me to the hospital, I'll really become a ghost." Qin Feng unhappily glared at Brother Green Hat. "You deserve to die. Let's see if you still dare to dress up as a ghost and scare me." Green Hair was so wrong that he wanted to cry. He wasn't here to scare Qin Feng. In the afternoon, he was surrounded by sparrows, and all of his skin was pecked beyond recognition. After his lackeys ran away, none of them came back to take Green Hair, so they left Green Hair with a broken leg in the alley to fend for himself. Green Hair had lost a lot of blood. He fainted and woke up and fainted again. He had just woken up and saw someone pass by. It turned out that it was Qin Feng. Green Hair gritted his teeth and asked Qin Feng for help. In the end, Qin Feng thought he was pretending to be a ghost and beat him up. Green Hair felt bitter in his heart. He really wanted to call Qin Feng an idiot, but when the words reached his mouth, he didn't dare to say them. "Big brother, it's a misunderstanding, big brother. I broke my legs and I can't even walk. How could I pretend to be a ghost and scare big brother? I was bitten by a sparrow, please take me to the hospital, big brother. From now on, this little brother's life is yours," Green Hair begged Qin Feng bitterly. Qin Feng now understood that he had misunderstood Green Hair. Ahem, so it's like that. Then I won't hit you. Let's go." Qin Feng wouldn't save Green Hair. This brat dared to have designs on Xiao Shishir, so he deserved to end up like this. Seeing that Qin Feng was about to leave, Green Hair immediately panicked. He yelled at the top of his lungs, big brother, don't go. I know a treasure. If you save my life, I'll take you to find the treasure, and all the treasure will belong to big brother." Qin Feng stopped and returned to Green Hair's side. If there really was a treasure, it would be a waste not to take it. There really is a treasure? Qin Feng looked coldly at Green Hair. When Green Hair saw that Qin Feng had returned, he was so excited that he was about to cry. He hurriedly nodded, yes, big brother, don't worry. This little brother will definitely not lie to you. Can you take me to the hospital first? My phone is broken and my leg is broken. If I lie down, I'll really die. Qin Feng glanced at Green Hair's eyes. Seeing that Green Hair didn't seem to be lying, Qin Feng took out a set of silver needles from Gao Tianyao and placed them on the ground. Swish, swish, swish. Green Hair was stunned by the scene in front of him. When he regained his senses, he found that there were more than 10 needles on his body. These needles were even trembling on their own. It was extremely strange. Fuck, big brother, believe me, there really is a treasure. Please don't kill me to silence me. I didn't know that girl was big brother's woman. Otherwise, I wouldn't dare to tease her even if you beat me to death. Green Hair thought that Qin Feng was trying to harm him, so he was so scared that his body trembled at the same frequency as the silver needles. Seeing Green Hair's fearful expression, Qin Feng slapped him on the head and yelled, "What are you yelling for? I'm saving you. Just obediently lie down for 5 minutes and you'll be fine." Qin Feng's slap was so fierce that Greenhair felt like his head was almost sent flying. He really didn't dare to yell anymore, but his body still trembled incessantly. After a while, Greenhair's expression changed greatly. He suddenly felt that the pain in his body had disappeared, and the ruptured wounds were rapidly healing. Big brother, are you really a genius doctor? I've wronged you before. I hope Big brother won't be angry. No matter how stupid Greenhair was, he could tell that Qin Feng actually knew medicine. What was this? Traditional Chinese medicine? Wasn't it all a lie? Qin Feng was too lazy to pay attention to Greenhair. He suddenly pulled Greenhair's legs over. Without giving Greenhair any time to react, Qin Feng had already reattached Greenhair's 2 broken legs. Greenhair's eyes widened, and he was stunned for a few seconds. Then, he let out a long howl and widened his eyes again. Done. 2 broken legs were reattached just like that? Isn't this a little too childish? Greenhair was now completely convinced that Qin Feng was really a genius doctor. Moreover, his skills were very valiant. Greenhair truly regretted offending Qin Feng and Xiao Shi. That girl was even scarier. She actually kept so many pets at home, and those pets even attacked people. Greenhair decided that he would never see these 2 monsters again. Where's the treasure you spoke of? Take me there now. After Qin Feng healed Greenhair, he didn't waste any more time and went straight to the point. Greenhair's eyes floated around, and he seemed a bit guilty. Big brother, why reattached my broken legs so easily? Aren't you afraid that I'll suddenly run away? Or lie to you that there's no treasure? Qin Feng indifferently curled his lips and said, You can't run away. If there really isn't any treasure, then I'll just break your legs. Qin Feng spoke lightly, but Greenhair's mouth twitched violently. He was so scared that his little heart almost jumped out of his throat. He hurriedly said, Big brother, I really found a secret tunnel. That tunnel was dug very deep and only I know where it is. Once I walked for a long time and still couldn't reach the end. I suspect that there's treasure hidden inside. But if there isn't, please don't break this little brother's dog legs. Let me keep my dog legs to run errands for you. Qin Feng slapped Greenhair's head again and jokingly scolded, Brat, you sure know how to flatter. Lead the way to the treasure first, we can talk about other things later. Greenhair didn't dare to go against Qin Feng's words. He quickly crawled up from the ground and led the way. The 2 of them didn't say much along the way. Greenhair just kept walking forward and brought Qin Feng to the area near Provincial Capital University. Green Hat, have the treasure you spoke of arrived yet? Are you trying to waste time with me? Qin Feng was a bit impatient. Greenhair was angered to death by Qin Feng calling him Green Hat, but he didn't dare to show it. He smiled and said, Big brother, we're here. It's just up ahead. Just a few more steps and we'll be there. Greenhair didn't lie. Qin Feng walked with him for a few minutes and saw Greenhair squatting in front of a manhole cover. He directly moved the manhole cover away, pointed downwards and said, Big brother, the treasure is down there. Come and see. Qin Feng didn't say anything and kicked Greenhair into the manhole cover. He muttered indignantly, Stinking brat, do you think I'm stupid? There's a sewer under the manhole cover. You want to trick me into going over and then secretly kick me down? Are you a fucking idiot? Ayo. Big brother, why didn't you say anything before you kicked me? This tunnel has an iron ladder to climb down. Little brother almost fell to his death. Just as Qin Feng finished complaining, Greenhair's blood-curdling screams came from under the manhole cover. Qin Feng squatted down and looked inside. He discovered that there really wasn't a sewer under the manhole cover, but a man-made tunnel. Qin Feng's old face reddened and he was a bit embarrassed. He climbed down the iron ladder and saw Greenhair covered in dirt. He said with a smile, Brat, why didn't you say so earlier? I thought there wasn't a ladder. Okay, hurry and lead the way. If we really find the treasure, Big brother will give you a bit. Greenhair didn't know what Qin Feng was thinking when he kicked him. Otherwise, he would have vomited blood in anger. Hearing that Qin Feng was willing to give him a bit of the treasure, Greenhair immediately patted off the dirt on his body. He excitedly turned on his phone's flashlight and led the way. This tunnel was very long and bottomless. The tunnel wasn't a government project used to drain water or install pipes. It was clearly a private tunnel. Such a deep and long tunnel wasn't a small project. Chun-Lin was curious as to what this tunnel was dug for. The two of them walked in the tunnel for over 20 minutes. They didn't know where they were. This tunnel was full of twists and turns, and there were many forks in the road. It was enough to make people dizzy. "Big brother, light, I see light." Greenhair, who was walking in front, cried out in surprise. He increased his pace and ran forward. Qin Feng also became spirited and followed closely behind Greenhair. The two of them came to a place with light. The light was very dim, and specks of starlight seeped in from the outside. They observed for a bit and found that it was still a manhole cover. It should lead to another exit, but there was no treasure. "Big brother, maybe we went the wrong way. How about we go around and take a look again? There must be treasure." Greenhair was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. He was deeply afraid that Qin Feng would break his leg in the next second. Qin Feng waved his hand and said, "Go push the manhole cover and see where you can see." Greenhair was actually suffocating in this tunnel and wanted to go out now. He hurriedly used all his strength to push the manhole cover and slowly pushed it open. The moonlight outside shone in. The two of them had the feeling of climbing out of a collapsed coal mine. The fresh air outside blew into the tunnel. Qin Feng and Greenhair both took a few deep breaths. The two of them climbed along the metal railing to the surface. Qin Feng looked around and found that this was actually the interior of Provincial Capital University. He came from the street opposite the school and crawled all the way into the school? How bored was the person who dug this tunnel? Big brother, this looks like Provincial Capital University, right? How did it lead here?" Greenhair also had a face full of complaints. They painstakingly crawled this tunnel. Even if there was no treasure, it should at least lead to a bank vault or a prison cell. It felt so shameful to have to go through the school. Qin Feng slowly calmed down and examined his surroundings. This was the interior of Provincial Capital University, but it had already deviated from the Bishop's district. It was near an old and abandoned biological laboratory building. Qin Feng looked at the tunnel entrance and then looked at Provincial Capital University. A glimmer of light flashed in his eyes. Chapter 603. Qin Feng suddenly opened his palm. In the center of his palm was a swarthy black ball. It looked like a pill. "Big brother, what are you doing?" Greenhair looked at Qin Feng in confusion. "Does your wound hurt?" Qin Feng asked. Still a little, but it's much better than before. Thank you for saving my life, big brother." Greenhair didn't understand why Qin Feng suddenly asked this. He started to flatter Qin Feng again. One shouldn't hit a smiling person, so he just had to say more nice things. "Then swallow this pill. It can help your wound heal quickly and reduce the swelling and pain," Qin Feng said indifferently. Greenhair had seen Qin Feng's miraculous medical skills before, so he didn't doubt him. He took the pill from Qin Feng's hand and swallowed it. He said with a pained expression, "Big brother, what medicine is this? It's so sour and smelly." Seeing Greenhair swallow the pill, Qin Feng's face turned cold. He said, "Green Hat, I'll give you a task now. Are you willing to help me complete it?" Greenhair had a bad premonition in his heart. He felt that something was wrong. "Big brother, you saved my life. I'm willing to do anything for you. I won't hesitate." Qin Feng nodded his head in satisfaction. He pointed at the tunnel under the manhole cover and said, "Then search the tunnel for the next few days. Find every exit and entrance that the tunnel leads to. You're the only one allowed to search, and you're not allowed to find anyone to help." Greenhair's face turned as black as the bottom of a pot. If he could beat Qin Feng, he would have crushed Qin Feng into a meat patty and fed it to the dogs. The tunnel was pitch black and airtight. Greenhair almost suffocated in there. He even gave up on the idea of looking for treasure. Even if there was treasure, the tunnel wasn't a place for people to stay. "You're not willing?" Qin Feng raised his voice and asked again when he saw Greenhair didn't speak. Greenhair was definitely not willing, but to save his life, he quickly agreed. After leaving tonight, Greenhair planned to pack his things and move to another city. He didn't want to see Qin Feng and Xiao Shishir ever again. "Big brother, how could I? I'm more than happy." Qin Feng nodded and said with a smile, "Very good. Then find the other entrances and exits in 3 days and come find me for the antidote." Alright, big brother, can I go now? That's not right. Big brother, did you just say that I wanted the antidote from you? What antidote? Green-haired excitedly prepared to leave. He suddenly froze and looked at Qin Feng in astonishment. The pill you just took is poison. It will take effect in 3 days. At that time, all the meridians in your body will break, and you will bleed to death. Then your body will start to rot. The green-haired man's face turned pale with fright when he heard half of it, and he broke out in a cold sweat. He started to use his fingers to cover his throat with all his might, wanting to spit out the pill. Green Hair felt that he was a shameless person, but after meeting Qin Feng, he realized what true shamelessness was. There's no need to be picky. The poison I developed melts once it enters your mouth, and its effects have already entered your blood. Just obediently work for me, and when the time comes, I'll give you the antidote. Qin Feng interrupted Green Hair's actions. Green Hair was truly scared silly. He had seen Qin Feng's miraculous medical skills, so he believed that the pill just now was poison. No wonder it tasted astringent and had a bit of a stench. Who knew what was used to refine it? Qin Feng looked at Green Hair's pale face and laughed in his heart. Now that he had lost contact with the system, how could Qin Feng have any poison? That pill was just a small ball made from the mud that Qin Feng stuck to his body when he tunneled through the tunnel. It could only scare an ignorant hooligan like Green Hair. The reason why Qin Feng had Green Hair investigate the other entrances and exits of the tunnel was because he was worried that the William family dug these tunnels. This time the William family secretly infiltrated Capital University, and it was very likely that they used these tunnels. When Green Hair found out that he couldn't even run, he felt extremely sullen. However, things had already come to this, so he immediately changed his attitude. He looked at Qin Feng with a fawning expression and said, "Hey big brother, you misunderstood. There was dirt in my mouth and that was just spitting. I didn't mean anything else. Being able to work for big brother is the greatest honor in my life. Don't worry big brother, I'll definitely do this well." "Not bad. That's the right thing to do. You can go back now," Qin Feng said. Qin Feng had seen many award-winning hooligans like Green Hair, so he was not surprised at all. Green Hair heaved a sigh of relief. He turned around and was about to leave when Qin Feng suddenly shouted, "Wait, go back from here." The green-haired man looked at Qin Feng pointing at the tunnel under the manhole cover, and his eyes were filled with despair. Before he could come back to his senses, a gust of wind came from behind him. Qin Feng kicked the green-haired man back into the tunnel. After covering the manhole cover, Qin Feng raised his head and looked at the starry night sky. What a beautiful night! The villa that Yan Wushuang rented was not far from Capital University, so Qin Feng quickly returned to the villa. This time he returned as Chao Feng, so he couldn't stay with Chang Xian and Hua Yin anymore. However, he was happy to live under the same roof as Yan Wushuang. "You're not dead yet? Why are you back so late?" Yan Wushuang's cold voice came from the living room sofa as soon as Qin Feng entered the villa. Yan Wushuang was wearing a black silk nightgown. She was wrapped in a woolen blanket and curled up on the sofa, watching a stupid Korean drama. Qin Feng felt like he had returned to his own home. He took off his shoes, jumped onto the sofa, and ate the fruits on the coffee table. "What's wrong? Can't you sleep if I'm not back? Why don't we sleep together tonight?" Yan Wushuang knew what Qin Feng was going to say the moment he opened his mouth. She angrily interrupted him. "Shut up. You can sleep on the street tonight if you keep talking nonsense." Qin Feng curled his lips and mumbled, "Fine, I won't sleep with you. But don't beg me to sleep with you in the future." "Qin Feng, do you want to die? What are you mumbling about? Do you want to piss me off every day to be happy?" Yan Wushuang and Qin Feng were a pair of quarrelsome lovers. They would quarrel after a few sentences and then reconcile after a few sentences. "I heard you defeated the exchange student from the St. Medical College today. Did you notice anything wrong?" Yan Wushuang brought the topic back to business. She couldn't wait to complete the A-rank mission of the Dragon Sect as soon as possible, so that she wouldn't have to be Qin Feng's partner anymore. There are 5 exchange student representatives from the St. Medical College. They are about the same age as me, so there's nothing special about them. However, there's a girl named Avril who is a little strange. She didn't speak during the battle and seemed to be absent-minded. She wasn't as angry as the other 4 exchange students when they lost. It seems like she doesn't care about the exchange. It was rare for Qin Feng to not joke around with Yan Wushuang. In fact, when Qin Feng was serious, Yan Wushuang found him quite pleasing to the eye. Alright, I'll keep an eye on that girl named Avril. Have you seen the representative group of teachers? Are there any suspicious people among them? Yan Wushuang did not go to class. She split the work with Qin Feng. Qin Feng was in charge of observing in public while Yan Wushuang was in charge of investigating in secret. I haven't seen the representative group of lecturers yet. However, I defeated those exchange students today, so I believe the representative group of lecturers from the St. Medical College will come looking for me tomorrow. I'll let you know if there's anything new. At this point, Qin Feng thought of something and added, "That's right, I just found a suspicious tunnel. I suspect it was dug by the William family. The tunnel leads from a hidden street outside of Provincial Capital University, all the way to the biological laboratory in the old city area of Provincial Capital University. You can check it out when you have time." Yan Wushuang's beautiful eyes sparkled. She said excitedly, "This is a good clue. I'll go check it out myself." Qin Feng nodded and told Yan Wushuang the exact location of the manhole cover. Yan Wushuang memorized the location. Yan Wushuang stayed up late not because she was worried about Qin Feng, but because she was waiting for him to come back and exchange information. Yan Wushuang had been in the university for the whole day and had found some clues. Now that she got the clue from Qin Feng, she wrapped herself in a wool blanket and went upstairs. Yan Wushuang suddenly stopped in the middle of the stairs and said lightly, "There's food in the thermos in the kitchen. I was going to feed it to the dog. You can go and eat it if you haven't eaten yet." After saying that, Yan Wushuang went upstairs in a carefree manner. The corner of Qin Feng's mouth twitched. He knew Yan Wushuang was a woman with a sharp tongue but a soft heart. The dinner in the thermos was obviously left for him. It was supposed to be a romantic dinner, but she said it was for the dog. Qin Feng thought, should I eat it or eat it? Or eat it? Yan Wushuang went upstairs and went to bed. Qin Feng took out his dinner from the thermos and ate it on the coffee table in the living room while watching TV. The dinner was very sumptuous. There were 3 dishes and a soup and it tasted good. It seemed that Yan Wushuang's culinary skills were pretty good. Qin Feng was famished because he had not eaten anything yet. He wolfed down the food and wiped out the love dinner Yan Wushuang had left for him in a matter of minutes. Ding. Congratulations, host Qin Feng, for completing the second side mission of Yun Province Disturbance and successfully making the Qin family the #1 family in Yun Province. The system will reward host Qin Feng 20,000 Hedonist points and a random Earth grade secret skill scroll. Ding. Congratulations, host Qin Feng, for completing the main mission of Yun Province Disturbance and successfully unifying the 4 cities of Yun Province. The system will reward host Qin Feng 30,000 Hedonist points and a random secret skill scroll. Ding. Congratulations, host Qin Feng, for defeating the 5 exchange students from St. Medical Institute and promoting Chinese medicine. The system will reward host Qin Feng with a storm poison needle. Qin Feng had just finished his meal and was about to wash the dishes when the long-awaited system notification rang in his mind. Although it was still cold, Qin Feng felt that the sound was as sweet as the tinkling of spring water. Qin Feng looked at the completed quests. He did not expect that he had completed all the quests of Yun Province Disturbance. This was out of his expectation. How could I unify the 4 cities of Yun Province so easily? As for the Rainstorm Poison Needles mission, Qin Feng could understand it. This was a mission issued by the system to develop Chinese medicine and make Chinese medicine famous. There was no time limit for this mission, and the reward was unknown. As Qin Feng continued to develop Chinese medicine, the system would reward him in stages. The 5 Poison Needle and 100 Herb Sutra were the rewards of this quest. After a series of notifications, the system notification rang again after a short pause. Reminder: the quests defeat all the forces of the Liang family in the provincial capital and assist Yun Zhao's younger brother, Yun Zhe, to become the young master of the Yun family in the provincial capital, are about to expire. Countdown 38 days. Qin Feng looked at the 2 quests that were about to expire. These were the 2 quests that the system had issued before the battle at the Amethyst Dragon Palace. Qin Feng felt that he had to find some time to complete these 2 quests. Little pig, are you there? Why did I lose contact with the system? Qin Feng temporarily put aside the quests and tried to communicate with Little Pig through his mind. The last time the system rebooted was because Qin Feng was severely injured. How could he lose contact with the system this time? Chapter 604. Ding, the Hedonist sovereign system has issued a quest. Hosts must pick up the female boss, Yan Wu Shuang, within the specified time. Quest time limit: 3 months. If the quest is successfully completed, the system will reward host Qin Feng with 50 Hedonist points and a lover's lock. If the quest is failed, 50,000 Hedonist points will be deducted. Qin Feng didn't wait for Little Pig's reply. Instead, he heard a series of notifications from the system. Qin Feng was dumbfounded when he saw the quest. He couldn't believe it. He had accepted many quests from the system, but this was the first time he had received a quest that only rewarded 50 Hedonist points, but had a penalty of 50,000 Hedonist points. Was the system not malfunctioning? Of course it's not a system malfunction. I was the one who issued this quest to Master. Little Pig's angry voice sounded in Qin Feng's mind. Qin Feng thought for a bit and an image flashed in the system. He saw Little Pig's fur standing on end, and his skin was charred black as if he had been struck by lightning. Qin Feng's mouth turned into an O shape. Little Pig, what happened to you? Qin Feng was so agitated that he spoke in a local dialect. What happened? It's all because of you, Master. Little Pig said with an aggrieved expression. 3 days ago, you asked me about innate seductive bones on the pedestrian street in Acropolis City. I almost revealed your secret, so the system started to punish me. I was struck by lightning for 3 days and 3 nights, and the system automatically shut down for 3 days and 3 nights. Just reopen now. Hearing this, Qin Feng was dumbfounded. Being struck by lightning for 3 days and 3 nights and still alive. A dead pig doesn't fear boiling water. These ancient sayings really made sense. Why did innate seductive bones reveal your secret? Qin Feng still didn't understand. Innate seductive bones are nothing, but this kind of woman has something to do with Master's past. Crackle. Just as Little Pig was halfway through his sentence, Qin Feng saw a purple kite lightning strike from the system. It struck Little Pig squarely in the forehead. Qin Feng felt pain just by looking at it. He wondered how Little Pig felt. Ah, Master, don't talk to me anymore. I hate you. Black smoke came out of Little Pig's pink nose, and he couldn't open his eyes. Qin Feng felt sorry for this little guy. How could the system be so inhumane? That's right, this is a pig, humanity is useless. Okay, then I won't talk about being born with a seductive bone anymore. Oh right, you said that being born with a seductive bone has something to do with my identity? What does that mean? Qin Feng's curiosity was piqued. He was very curious about his background. Ever since he was born, he and his father Qin Huang had depended on each other. Uncle Fu had always been his bodyguard. Qin Feng had never seen his mother. He didn't know where she was and how she was doing. Or did they not even know whether they were alive or dead? Qin Feng really wanted to know about this, but every time he asked his father, Qin Huang would change the topic. Now that the system seemed to know about Qin Feng's background, how could Qin Feng miss this great opportunity? A lightning halo hovered above Little Pig's head. Little Pig raised his eyelids slightly and saw it clearly. Seeing this, Qin Feng didn't wait for Little Pig to speak and changed the question. Lil Piggy, why did you give me that mission to pick up girls? The reward is so little and the punishment is so high. Are you trying to harm me? Qin Feng stared at Little Pig. Little Pig didn't even bother to avoid Qin Feng's gaze. It said straightforwardly, Master, I gave you that mission on purpose. I also purposely lowered the reward and increased the punishment. I was struck by lightning for 3 days and 3 nights, and Master, you've been picking up girls for 3 days and 3 nights. You can't bully a small animal like this. Since Master likes to pick up girls so much, then I'll fulfill your wish. Little Pig had always been very vengeful. Qin Feng was so angry that he gritted his teeth, but he couldn't do anything to this fat little pig. Qin Feng carefully looked at the mission again and realized that the target of his picking up girls was Yan Wu Shuang. Qin Feng slapped his forehead. This was another difficult mission. Yan Wushuang said before that she would rather be with a pig than Qin Feng. If Qin Feng was really with her, then wouldn't he be a pig? Little Pig ignored Qin Feng. There was a ball of lightning hovering above his head, so he wasn't in the mood to talk. Qin Feng could only study the system interface. He had completed quite a few missions and now had a total of 127,000 Hedonist points, an Earth-grade skill scroll, and a hidden interface scroll. Qin Feng first used the 2 scrolls and drew an Earth-grade skill scroll, Demon Lord's Bible. Then, he opened the system's hidden interface, Spirit Talisman Palace. According to the Demon Lord's Bible, this was a high-grade skill scroll of the Demon Cultivator clan. It could increase the speed of a Demon Cultivator's breakthrough. After all, Qin Feng wasn't a Demon Cultivator or Evil Cultivator. He had only absorbed Demon Qi and Corpse Qi, so this Demon Cultivator secret scroll wasn't very useful to Qin Feng. As for the Spirit Talisman Palace, it was actually a very useful interface. The mind-cleansing talismans, tranquil talismans and fireball talismans that Qin Feng bought from the system could all be made for free at the Spirit Talisman Hall. However, there was a certain threshold for making talismans in the Spirit Talisman Hall. Qin Feng was only at the inner Qi stage and didn't have any true Qi in his body. He could only collect some spirit stones and place them in the Spirit Talisman Hall in order to make some talismans for free. Qin Feng wasn't a demon cultivator, so he didn't have spirit stones on him. Therefore, these 2 scrolls were temporarily useless to Qin Feng. With a trace of disappointment, Qin Feng opened the out-of-print interface. He had been eyeing the cosmic flying sword for a long time. Opening the out-of-print interface, the first page to be unlocked was the cosmic flying sword. The page was still gray and there were 2 chains hanging on it. At the bottom, it was marked that it required 100,000 Hedonist points to unlock. Now that Qin Feng had 127,000 Hedonist points, he clenched his teeth and pressed the unlock button. Click! 100,000 Hedonist points disappeared in an instant, leaving only 27,000. The 2 chains automatically broke, and the originally gray page shone with a golden light. A dazzling longsword was engraved on the page. The body of the sword gave off a flowing red light. It lay motionlessly on the page, but Qin Feng could feel the longsword piercing through the clouds and soaring freely in the bright sky. Good sword, it really is a good sword. With this cosmic flying sword, inner Qi stage martial artists are no match for me. Qin Feng could already feel the power of the cosmic flying sword, even before he obtained it. Qin Feng tried to grab the cosmic flying sword with his hand, but he grabbed nothing. Master, the items in the out-of-print interface are all out of print in the system. The system doesn't even have them, so Master has to collect the materials and make them himself, Little Pig said. When Qin Feng had obtained the out-of-print interface, he had guessed that the system would screw him over like this. However, when he spent 100,000 Hedonist points to unlock the Galaxy Flying Sword and found out that the Galaxy Flying Sword no longer existed, and that his 100,000 Hedonist points had gone down the drain, Qin Feng really wanted to strangle the Little Pig. Little Pig seemed to feel the chill on Qin Feng's body and continued to say, however, as long as Master makes a cosmic flying sword, you will be helping the system make up for what it doesn't have. The system will give Master a generous reward in return. The reward will be double the Hedonist points you spent to unlock the out-of-print celestial equipment. Qin Feng's mood quickly improved. Double the reward? If he made this cosmic flying sword, the system would give him 200,000 Hedonist points. It seemed that the system was quite humane. A second ago, Qin Feng was cursing the system for being shameless, but now he was beaming with joy, praising the system for being humane and all sorts of good things. Little Pig was used to its master's vulgarity and shamelessness, so it wasn't surprised at all. It lay on Qin Feng's shoulder and entertained itself. Qin Feng calmed himself down and looked at the cosmic flying sword page again. Chapter 605. Yuan Meteor Stones, large amounts of crystal stones, large amounts of spirit stones, 100-year ice crystals, cold steel, black copper. There were many materials needed to create a starry sky flying sword. There were more than 30 types of materials. Qin Feng had heard of more than 20 of them and could think of ways to obtain them. As for the other 10 or so materials, he had only heard of them and were rarely seen on Earth. There were even some materials that he had never heard of before. Qin Feng didn't know where to look for them. Forging the cosmic flying sword was much more difficult than Qin Feng had expected. This made Qin Feng a little disappointed. He didn't know if he could forge this celestial equipment. Qin Feng closed the out-of-print interface and looked at his remaining 27,000 hedonist points. Where should he spend them? Right now, Qin Feng had all sorts of high-grade cultivation methods and secret manuals. He also had all sorts of blue and orange-grade spiritual weapons. On the contrary, his own strength was still lacking. Of course, reaching stage 6 inner qi at Qin Feng's age was already rare in China. However, after Qin Feng obtained the killer book, came into contact with China's 5 tigers, and witnessed true stage 9 external experts, Qin Feng's view of the world had changed. If stage 9 external was already so powerful, then the 9 dragons of China were all stage 9 inner qi experts. How powerful would they be? Qin Feng immediately decided to use the remaining hedonist points to concoct pills, and use them to break through as soon as possible. Lei Ming, the leader of the yellow group in the dragon sect, was a stage 8 inner qi expert. Qin Feng couldn't even figure out the strength of the black group's Song Changsheng. Qin Feng still had to stay in the dragon sect in the future. If he didn't increase his strength, how could he deal with these treacherous old foxes? Qin Feng opened the system's alchemy pavilion. The gigantic cauldron of the heaven and earth stood in front of Qin Feng. Qin Feng had studied the alchemy pavilion before. If he wanted to concoct higher quality pills, he had to continuously upgrade the cauldron of the heaven and earth and the fire seed. Qin Feng previously used the natural fire seed and the cauldron of the heaven and earth that the alchemy pavilion gave him for free to concoct grade 1 pills. Now that Qin Feng had subdued the destructive fire, he thought that he should be able to concoct higher quality pills. Boom! Qin Feng slapped his hand and several streams of destructive fire fell under the cauldron of the heaven and earth. The cauldron of the heaven and earth rose 3 meters high and burned of the cauldron of the heaven and earth. The heaven and earth cauldron slowly revolved. How powerful was the destructive fire? Yet it was unable to melt the cauldron. It didn't even cause the slightest damage. Qin Feng looked at the pill concoction pavilion's purchase interface. He discovered that only the first-grade pill formulas were lit up. The other pill formulas were gray, indicating that they could not be purchased. Now all the elixir formulas of grade 3 and below were lit up. This meant that Qin Feng could refine grade 3 elixirs in the alchemy pavilion now that he had the destructive flame. This meant that he was a grade 3 alchemist. Qin Feng's mood immediately improved, and he prepared to choose a rank 3 medicinal pill that could speed up his breakthrough and increase his cultivation. At this moment, Little Pig reminded him, "Master, you can spend 10,000 hedonist points to upgrade the heaven and earth cauldron. After upgrading with your destructive flames and the upgraded heaven and earth cauldron, Master will be able to refine rank 4 medicinal pills." Qin Feng's mind stirred. A grade 4 elixir was a grade higher than a grade 3 elixir. The difference between them was like a chasm. Upgrade the heaven and earth cauldron. Qin Feng didn't think too much and spent 10,000 hedonist points to upgrade the heaven and earth cauldron. Rumble! Suddenly, a loud sound rang out, and the ground of the pill concoction pavilion shook violently. The 3-meter-tall heaven and earth cauldron seemed to be covered in a layer of dust. The ancient runes on the cauldron changed, and the giant cauldron began to slowly grow bigger. In the end, it became a super cauldron that was at least 5 meters tall. Compared to the heaven and earth cauldron before it was upgraded, it was clearly more high-end and majestic. After the heaven and earth cauldron was upgraded, Qin Feng discovered that the purchase interface of the pill concoction pavilion had changed. The previously sealed 4th-grade pill formulas were now lit up, indicating that they could be purchased. Qin Feng carefully looked at the pill formulas of various grades. Most of the first-grade medicinal pills started from 1,000 hedonist points, and the higher ones were 3,000 hedonist points. The refreshment pills and healing pills that Qin Feng refined last time cost 1,000 hedonist points. Qin Feng specially looked at the price of the blood qi pill and the inner vitality pill. These 2 pills were 2nd-grade miraculous pills. Back then, the system sold the blood qi pill for 1,000 hedonist points each, and the inner vitality pill for 2,000 hedonist points each. The 2 pill formulas in the pill concoction pavilion cost 3,000 hedonist points. Don't think that 3,000 hedonist points was a high price. This was because the pill formulas contained the ingredients needed to refine the pills, and it could refine 15 pills at a time. In total, one pill was only 200 hedonist points, which was much cheaper than the system's 1,000 hedonist points and 2,000 hedonist points each. Qin Feng finally understood the use of the pill concoction pavilion. With the pill concoction pavilion, not only could he refine all kinds of miraculous pills, but it also saved Qin Feng a lot of hedonist points. Qin Feng no longer hesitated. His gaze fell on the 4th-grade spirit pills, searching for the pill that was most suitable for him. Qi strengthening pill description. A 4th-grade spirit pill can stabilize a martial artist's inner qi, refine inner qi, and speed up the breakthrough of martial artists below stage 6 inner qi. Recipe price: 10,000 hedonist points. After Qin Feng finished reading the introduction of the qi strengthening pill, he went to the general purchase page outside the pill concoction pavilion. A single qi strengthening pill costs 5,000 hedonist points, but the pill concoction pavilion only costs 10,000 hedonist points to refine 8 qi strengthening pills. Qin Feng saved 30,000 hedonist points in one go. Qin Feng still had 17,000 hedonist points left, so he spent 10,000 hedonist points on the qi strengthening pill formula. The remaining 7,000 hedonist points were reserved for emergencies. 10,000 hedonist points disappeared in an instant, and the qi strengthening pill formula was successfully purchased. Qin Feng's mind was flooded with a huge amount of unfamiliar information about refining the qi strengthening pill. At the same time, all kinds of precious medicinal ingredients appeared in the system's storage interface. Qin Feng could use these medicinal ingredients to refine the qi strengthening pill at any time. With the formula and medicinal ingredients in hand, Qin Feng couldn't wait any longer. He immediately started to refine the qi strengthening pill according to the alchemy procedure in his mind. Qin Feng used the talisman of clairvoyance to peep on Hua Yan refining the pill in Chang Xian's villa. At that time, Hua Yan's entire body was on fire, and her clothes were burnt to a crisp. While Qin Feng was enjoying the beautiful scenery, he also gained a better understanding of the alchemy procedure. With a wave of his hand, Qin Feng threw a few of the main medicinal ingredients into the cauldron of heaven and earth. The 5-meter-tall cauldron rose slowly and started to spin in the air. Qin Feng had to add the medicinal ingredients, control the temperature of the cauldron, control the degree of fusion of the medicinal ingredients, and control the speed of the cauldron. It went smoothly when Qin Feng was refining a grade 1 wonder pill. The refining process was simple, and it took only a short time. However, it was completely different when he was refining a grade 4 wonder pill. It was a long and exhausting process. If Qin Feng didn't activate the sacred azure battle armor's hyper-intuition ability, he would have collapsed a long time ago. Rumble. After an unknown amount of time, a loud explosion came from the cauldron of heaven and earth. It sounded like the cauldron had exploded. Qin Feng hastily opened his eyes. 8 shining spirit pills flew out from the cauldron of heaven and earth and landed in Qin Feng's hand. The spirit pills were still warm and emitted a rich medicinal fragrance. The system told him that there were 8 qi strengthening pills in theory. It was Qin Feng's first time refining qi strengthening pills, but he managed to refine 8 qi strengthening pills in perfect condition. This showed that Qin Feng had already stepped into the ranks of a grade 4 alchemist. Qin Feng stared at the 8 spirit pills in his hand with a burning gaze. He couldn't wait any longer and directly swallowed one of them. This was Qin Feng's first time eating a grade 4 wonder pill. This kind of wonder pill was extremely rare. Even in martial artist town St. Medic Hall, there weren't many of them. The spirit pill melted in Qin Feng's mouth and emitted a rich medicinal fragrance. Waves of rich spiritual energy flowed through Qin Feng's meridians like a spiritual spring. Qin Feng hurriedly sat cross-legged and began to absorb the spiritual energy. The spiritual energy was endless, and Qin Feng suppressed it in his dantian again and again. This process was slow and boring, but Qin Feng was never tired of it. He felt that the originally empty depths of his dantian were now filled with spiritual energy, and there was a faint feeling of expansion. Advancing from stage 6 to stage 7 inner qi required a large amount of spiritual energy to break through the barrier. The qi strengthening pill was the most effective spirit pill at this stage. After Qin Feng absorbed all the medicinal energy of the qi strengthening pill, he was already at the bottleneck of breaking through. He only needed a suitable opportunity to smoothly break through this barrier. Qin Feng slowly exhaled. He didn't swallow the second qi strengthening pill. For this kind of spirit pill, the first pill was the most effective. Taking more later pills would have no effect. Moreover, the qi in Qin Feng's body had not completely stabilized. He couldn't rush for instant benefits or else it would have the opposite effect. Qin Feng spent the whole night absorbing and stabilizing the qi-strengthening pill. When he opened his eyes again, the sky outside was gradually getting brighter. Although Qin Feng didn't sleep for the whole night, he didn't feel tired at all. Instead, he felt refreshed. Why you are pretending to be a ghost early in the morning? You scared the hell out of me. As soon as Qin Feng retracted his aura, Yan Wushuang came downstairs in a pair of bear slippers. She was still wearing a black silk pajamas with long sleeves that covered her ankles. Although nothing could be seen, Qin Feng could tell that she wasn't wearing any undergarments. Qin Feng guessed that she wasn't wearing any undergarments. The qi-strengthening pill was very effective. Qin Feng had just broken through to stage 6 inner qi not long ago, but he had stabilized his qi to the peak of stage 6 inner qi in one night. He was in a good mood. He smiled at Yan Wushuang and said, "Team Leader Yan, do you pretend to be a ghost early in the morning? Even if I pretend to be a ghost, I'll knock on your door in the middle of the night." Yan Wushuang glared at Qin Feng angrily. She placed her hands on her hips, puffed out her chest and sucked in her stomach. "How dare you scare me in the middle of the night? I'll kill you." Yan Wushuang suddenly looked at the lunchbox and the TV on the table. She asked doubtfully, "Did you lie on the sofa and watch TV the whole night? We are on a very difficult mission now. Why do you look like you are on vacation? I'm so mad." Qin Feng didn't explain to Yan Wushuang. He stood up and went upstairs. He was sweaty last night, so he wanted to take a shower. "Team Leader Yan, hurry up and make breakfast. I'm going downstairs to eat." "Who do you think I am? A housekeeper? If you are hungry, make your own breakfast. Otherwise, go buy it from the street." Yan Wushuang was very unhappy. Why did she have such a lazy and lecherous partner? How can the food you buy from the street compare to Team Leader Yan's cooking? "I like your cooking very much. It tastes good." It was rare for Qin Feng to praise Yan Wushuang. Yan Wushuang was stunned. When she regained her senses, she found that Qin Feng had gone upstairs. Yan Wushuang's cheeks were slightly flushed. She walked into the kitchen with a smile on her face. She put on her apron and started to prepare breakfast. "At least you know what's good for you. You finally said something sensible. Forget it. Who asked this great beauty to be so kind-hearted? Now that I'm in a good mood, I'll make your breakfast as well." Chapter 606. Provincial Capital University Medical College Class 1. The sun rose from the east and the birds chirped happily. There was still half an hour before the first class in the morning, but the classroom of Class 1 was already full of people. Students walked into the classroom from time to time. Those who came later couldn't get a seat and could only stand in the aisle at the back of the classroom. Those who came later couldn't get a seat in the aisle at the back, so they had to stand on the aisles on both sides of the classroom. Those who came later shook their heads in disappointment when they saw that the classroom was already full. They wanted to come back after the first class. They didn't believe that no students went to the toilet after the first class. As long as they saw someone going to the toilet, they would squeeze in and fight for a seat. This was Qiao Feng's charm. It was only his second day in school, and he had only given 2 classes, but he was already deeply loved by the students. Seeing that the first class was about to begin, a group of men and women in suits and leather shoes strode toward the medical college Class 1. These people were foreigners with high noses and blue eyes. They were the exchange delegation from the St. Medical College of the United States. Mike walked in front of the group. His silver hair was neatly combed at the back of his head. Although he was old, he looked energetic. Behind Professor Mike was the lecturer delegation. They were all middle-aged lecturers between the ages of 35 and 40. Behind them were Avril and the other 4 exchange students. The students of Provincial Capital University were very familiar with these 5 people, especially Avril. Many students were talking behind her back about how big her bra size was. "Professor Mike, the medical college is in front. We asked around yesterday and Qiao Feng will be in Class 1 today." Avril, who was walking behind, said in a cold but pleasant voice. Professor Mike and his group stopped and looked at the relatively old building of the medical college in front of them. When Professor Mike came back to his senses, he walked straight toward Class 1. They're here, they're here. The exchange team from the St. Medical College is here. Before Mike and the others reached the classroom door, the row of students by the window screamed. After Qiao Feng defeated Avril and the others yesterday, everyone guessed that the lecturer representative of the American exchange team would bring people to cause trouble today, and it was as they had expected. How many people are here? Are there many pretty girls? Is Avril here? Is she still wearing the sexy short skirt from yesterday? The students on the other side of the wall were extremely anxious. They tiptoed to look out of the window, but the class was packed with people and they couldn't see anything at all. There's a dozen or so people, led by an old man. The lecturer's delegation is made up of middle-aged women. Some of them have big breasts, but their legs are too thick like little elephants' legs. Avril is here. Well, she's still wearing a short skirt and knee socks today, but her socks have changed to purple ones. She's so sexy. Knowing that Avril was wearing a short skirt and knee socks in the middle of winter, the male students in the class went crazy. It turned out that these people weren't here to listen to Qiao Feng's lecture, but to see Avril. Have you never seen a miniskirt before? Did you guys just come out from the deep mountains and wild forests? Don't make such a big fuss. Don't you feel ashamed? The girls in the class were immediately unhappy. They usually wore sexy short skirts, but they had never seen boys so crazy. That can't be compared. Foreign girls have long breasts, long legs, and fair skin. It's addictive to look at them. The boys immediately explained the truth, and the few girls who were complaining just now immediately went silent. At this time, Professor Mike had already led a group of people to the door of Class 1. Just as he stepped into the classroom, Professor Mike was shocked by the situation inside. He suddenly stopped at the door and forgot to go inside. It seemed like there was nowhere to go. Professor Mike, why did you suddenly stop? The two lecturers behind didn't pay attention to Professor Mike and directly bumped into his back. Professor Mike didn't even have the time to cry out in pain when the two male lecturers held their heads and screamed. Mike was almost bumped into by the two. He angrily stared back at them. Go? Go where? Go back, all of you go back. The group of people had just walked to the door and hadn't even entered the classroom. Now they had retreated. It was extremely funny, and the students in the class couldn't help but laugh. The group of people retreated to the classroom's window. Seeing the fiery situation in the classroom, everyone was shocked. Did they go to the wrong place? This was clearly the dance floor of a nightclub. Avril, what's going on? Did you remember the wrong way? Mike looked at Avril and the others, his tone a little cold. That's right, this is the place. I don't know why so many students came today. Avril was sure that the place couldn't be wrong. Owen also stood up and said, Professor Mike, this is the place. The afternoon before yesterday, we defeated that rubbish Western medicine teacher in this class. At that time the class wasn't full. The teacher was scratching his feet on the podium and reading the text. Most of the students were sleeping, and those who weren't sleeping were playing with their phones. They looked lifeless. Why are all of them so excited today? Willis, Peter, and Jack also looked like they had Alzheimer's disease. It wasn't like this, right? Could it be that they had transmigrated? Everyone, good morning. Just when everyone was at a loss, Qiao Feng walked over leisurely. This guy had simply come on time for the class bell. Professor Mike and the others' gazes fell on Qiao Feng. Avril had already walked to Mike's side and whispered something into his ear. Professor Mike began to size up Qiao Feng again. His eyes gleamed with a strange light. So it's Professor Qiao Feng. I've heard a lot about you. After staring at Qiao Feng for a while, Mike suddenly smiled and took the initiative to shake hands with Qiao Feng. Qin Feng was also sizing up Mike. He could tell that this old man was the representative of the St. Second Medical Institution. Qin Feng thought to himself, if this old man is sent by the William family, then he must be an expert among experts at his age. Haha, you flatter me. This is only my second day at Provincial Capital University. What kind of reputation do I have? May I know how to address you, senior? Qin Feng held Mike's hand and said with a smile. Call me Professor Mike. That's what everyone calls me. Mike spoke in Chinese and he spoke it quite fluently. Qin Feng suddenly increased his strength to test Mike's strength. Ah! Professor Mike screamed in pain and squatted on the ground. Ouch! Professor Qiaofeng, let go of me. It hurts. It hurts so much that my bones are about to break. An old man in his 60s was squatting on the ground with cold sweat all over his forehead. He was groaning in pain. This scene instantly enraged the representatives of the St. Second Medical University. They surrounded Qin Feng and looked as though they wanted to bite him to death. Hey! Why are you so rude? Our Professor Mike is in his 60s. Why are you pinching him? Do you think this is arm wrestling? Let go of our Professor Mike. You Chinese people are too rude. Oh, I know. Did you know that Professor Mike is here today? Are you afraid that your medical skills are inferior to Professor Mike's? That's why you want to break Professor Mike's hand? That's right. That must be it. The representatives of the St. Second Medical Association were all talking at once. Even Qin Feng was impressed by their imagination. Professor Mike's forehead was drenched in cold sweat and his face was as red as a pig's liver. Qin Feng quickly let go of the old man's hand. Did I guess wrong? Hee. Professor Mike, I'm really sorry. I'm born with great strength. Sometimes I can't control my strength when I'm agitated. I'm too excited to see Professor Mike. I heard that Professor Mike sells the best French fries. I must try them when I have the chance. There was a saying that one should never hit a smiling person. Qin Feng's face was radiant and pure, so the representatives of the St. Second Medical Association did not know what to do with him. Idiot! McDonald's sells French fries. Our Professor Mike is a Western medicine professor. Peter glared at Qin Feng with an arrogant and disdainful attitude. The members of the St. Second Medical Association twitched their mouths. Of course they had heard Qin Feng mention that Professor Mike sold French fries. However, it was obvious that Qin Feng was insulting the professor. It would be better if Qin Feng did not say it out loud. Instead, it would be embarrassing for the representatives of the St. Second Medical Association. Everyone was well aware that they did not mention this matter. Only Pete, who was muscle-bound and simple-minded, was foolish enough to be proud of himself. I've long heard that the representative students of the St. Second Medical Association are all roosters among the elites. This young man is not bad. Since everyone is at the entrance of the classroom, why don't we go in and listen to the lecture? It's time for class. After Qin Feng finished laughing, he acted as if nothing had happened and walked into Class 1's classroom, minding his own business. Peter's expression became even prouder when he was singled out by Qin Feng. He muttered to himself, you have good taste, kid. After entering the classroom, Qin Feng finally understood why Professor Mike and the others were standing outside the classroom. Professor Qiaofeng, you're late. You're late by 3 minutes and 3 seconds. You'll have to make up for the lost time after class. Professor Qiaofeng, were you fighting with the representatives of the St. Second Medical Association just now? Do you need our help? If your medical skills are inferior to the representatives of their lecturers, you should tell us earlier. We'll cripple their lecturers' hands and let them compete with you. The corner of Qin Feng's mouth twitched violently when he heard the students coming up with all kinds of rotten ideas. These were all his students. When Professor Mike saw that Qin Feng had entered the classroom, he led a group of people to the classroom's entrance. Professor Mike heard the students' rotten ideas as soon as he entered the classroom. He was so angry that he almost fell to the ground. Professor Qiaofeng, there are too many students in your class. I'm afraid that more than half of them are from other classes or departments. I hope you can drive away the extra students so that the quality of teaching will not be affected. Professor Mike had a bellyful of anger even before he started his medical competition with Qin Feng. The students in the class were not happy to hear Mike's words and started to shout angrily. They started to complain because they didn't want to leave. They still wanted to watch Professor Qiaofeng act cool and learn from him. Be quiet. Be quiet. Qin Feng slammed the table, and the students didn't dare to make a sound. Qin Feng didn't reprimand the students for being noisy. Instead, he looked at Professor Mike and said, Professor Mike, this is how I usually teach. I never ask the extra students which department or class they are from. As long as they sincerely want to learn Chinese medicine and like to listen to my class, then they are my students. I teach Chinese medicine and knowledge, not students. If Professor Mike thinks the classroom is too crowded, then don't come in and listen to my class. Qin Feng's tone was relaxed, but it was filled with unquestionable determination. The more than 200 students in the class were moved to tears. Professor Mike was so angry that he blew his beard and glared at Qin Feng. But he couldn't refute Xiao Feng. This was Provincial Capital University's classroom, and this was Xiao Feng's class. What could Professor Mike do? Humph! How arrogant! If you don't want to listen, then don't listen. Who do you think you are? Your class isn't worthy of our Professor Mike's status. Peter, who was standing at the back of the crowd, was already angry. He turned around and was about to leave. At this time, Professor Mike brought the group into the classroom. Everyone lined up on the podium behind Qin Feng. Peter walked halfway and looked back. He immediately chased after Qin Feng. Professor Mike AI. Everyone wait for me. The classroom was full, and only the podium had some space. However, this space was usually reserved for teachers and students who were punished for being mischievous in class. Professor Mike and his group stood there and were stared at by more than 200 students below. They felt a little uncomfortable all over their bodies. However, things had already come to this, so Professor Mike had no other choice. He stood at the very center of the podium and looked at Qin Feng's back thoughtfully. Who knew what he was thinking? Chapter 607. Dressed in a handsome white suit, Qin Feng stood tall and straight with his hands clasped behind his back. He stood under the sunlight with a smile on his face. His gaze swept across the 200 students below the podium as he wanted everyone to see his handsome and tall side. However, the students always inadvertently forgot about Professor Xiao Feng's appearance. This teacher was simply too ordinary. Students, stand up. Wuxia, who was sitting in the last row of the class, shouted. The students who were standing in the aisle did not move, but the students who were sitting in their seats stood up in unison. More than 200 people shouted in unison, and their voices were deafening. Good morning, Professor Xiao Feng. This scene shocked the representatives from the St. Medical Academy, who were standing on the podium. The students were so enthusiastic and eager to learn. They couldn't even see such students in their school. Qin Feng nodded in satisfaction and said in a loud and clear voice, Students, please take your seats. The class will now begin. In this class, we will be talking about the Chinese medicine's observation, listening, questioning, and pulse. I heard that all of you have learned from a Chinese medicine teacher before. Have you forgotten about it? As soon as Qin Feng finished speaking, the 200 people below the podium went into an uproar. The observation, listening, questioning, and pulse were the quintessence of Chinese medicine. Although they had learned from Professor Qin Feng before, he was fired after a few days. Therefore, they were very interested in this class and were willing to continue learning. The representatives of the St. Medical University were puzzled when they heard the words observation, listening, questioning, and pulse. It was obvious that they did not know much about Chinese medicine. Since everyone wants to learn the Chinese medicine's observation, listening, questioning, and pulse, let me test you first. Can you recite the most basic Wang formula? Qin Feng looked at the familiar smiling faces below the podium and asked gently. The Wang formula was a boring and tasteless book of Chinese medicine theory. It was completely based on rote memorization. There were many awkward-sounding words and medical records in the book. It was difficult to read it, let alone memorizing it. To these university students, they would never choose to memorize a book if they were asked to kill someone, let alone a book like the Wang formula, which was equivalent to classical Chinese. However, when Qin Feng started teaching, these students took the initiative to memorize the entire Wang formula, because if they did not memorize it, they would not be able to keep up with Professor Qin Feng's pretentious pace in class. In the face of interest, any age difference could become a friend with benefits. No, he could overcome all difficulties and hardships. Wuxia, who was in the last row, suddenly shouted again, giving Professor Mike and the rest of the team a great shock. Very deep. Dig the veins, dig the tendons, and search the bones. Begin. Wuxia raised his head, and the 200-plus students in the class followed his lead. More than 100 of them were students from the two classes of the medical college. It was already impressive that they could memorize the Wang formula, but now more than 100 students from other faculties could also memorize the Wang formula. Qin Feng was very excited when he saw this. Lu Jie raised his head, and the 200-plus students in the class recited the Wang formula as well. Blockage of meridians, coagulation of qi in blood, accumulation of phlegm, hernia, deficiency of yang qi, excess of yin qi, constriction of the left cun, heartache. More than 200 people chanted in unison, reciting the traditional Chinese medicine Wang formula in a loud and clear voice. Words that were difficult to understand in medical jargon came out of everyone's mouths, leaving the representatives of the St. Medical Academy at a loss. Professor Mike and Avril listened attentively, but their expressions were different from the others. Other than a trace of surprise and confusion, their expressions quickly turned complicated. No one knew what they were thinking about. The Wang formula was not long. 5 minutes later, everyone had finished reciting it. From the beginning to the end, there was not a single word wrong. There was not even a mistake. Clap! Clap! Qin Feng stood on the podium and clapped his hands. I'm proud of all of you. You have brought glory to the medical college and provincial capital university. The students below the podium smiled brightly when they heard the praise. Many of them did not sleep for days just to memorize the Wang formula. Some of them read books even when they were eating and when they were in the bathroom. Some of them even recited the Wang formula when they were having sex with their girlfriends. The process was supposed to be boring and painful, but the moment they received Professor Qiaofeng's praise, everyone was elated. They felt that the pain had turned into sweetness. The expressions of the representatives of the St. Medical Academy's lecturers changed from disdain and frivolity when they first entered the room to contemplation and surprise. After Willis and the other 4 defeated Shaolei, they had told the lecturers that the provincial capital university's medical college's lecturers were trash. They only read according to the textbooks, and when they put down the textbooks they were all medical idiots. However, the situation that the lecturers of the St. Medical Academy saw now was completely different. Qin Feng didn't care about what the representative group thought. It was as if they were air. He didn't even look at them. Qin Feng looked at the students below the stage and asked, which student is willing to offer their body so that the teacher can take a look at their chest? The students below the podium were stunned by Professor Qiaofeng's vulgarity with their mouths wide open. Soon Qin Feng realized that he had made a slip of the tongue. He said awkwardly, ahem ahem, which student is willing to stand up? I'll take a look at her physiognomy. The students below the podium and on the podium gasped. Then they scrambled to raise their hands. Boys, don't raise your hand, Qin Feng said. Suddenly, he lowered half of his hand. Ahem ahem. Miss Hua Yan, please stand up and cooperate with me. Qin Feng immediately recognized Hua Yan's chest among the 200 students and asked her to stand up. Hua Yan stood up. Her tall and sexy body caused a wave of exclamations among the students. Qin Feng waved his hand to signal the students to quiet down. Then he looked at Hua Yan and stared at her collar for a while. Then he cleared his throat and said in a serious tone, this student has phoenix eyes, willow leaf eyebrows, cherry lips, and an oval face. Her skin is as fair as snow, and the bridge of her nose is high and natural. She's indeed one of the prettiest girls in the medical college. The 200 students below the podium were still in a daze after Qin Feng's words. Didn't he say that he taught Chinese medicine? Why did he suddenly teach picking up girls? At least tell us so that we can take notes. Heh, what kind of nonsense is this? Teaching students to pick up girls in the classroom? Is this the Chinese medicine teacher of the medical college? Is this the famous Chinese medicine skill of China? Is this the fucking skill of picking up girls? Peter's mocking voice came from behind Qin Feng. He purposely raised his voice so that many students in the class could hear him. The students of the medical college were furious. They couldn't tolerate people from other universities to insult their medical college, provincial capital university, and Chinese medicine. However, they couldn't refute Peter because what Professor Qiaofeng taught them was indeed the skill of picking up girls. Huh, which student was talking behind me just now? Qin Feng turned around and looked at the representative group of St. Medical College with a puzzled expression. Peter was here with Professor Mike and the lecturers to make a scene. He wasn't afraid of Qin Feng. He took a step forward and said, "It's me." What's wrong? Do you think I said something wrong? Qin Feng looked in Peter's direction. After a while he said with a smile, "Oh, it's little brother Charcoal. You're so dark that I almost can't see you." Pete was too unscrupulous. Qin Feng's little joke almost made Pete faint from anger. Without waiting for Pete to speak, Qin Feng continued, "I was just joking with everyone just now to lighten the atmosphere in the classroom and raise the students' enthusiasm for learning. Next, we will officially enter into the Chinese traditional Chinese medicines Wang, 1111 and Qian. Which student is willing to stand up and let me see you?" Qin Feng suddenly became serious. The students in the class who were laughing also quieted down. After a while Ma Chao stood up. "Professor, please take a look at me. I'm not feeling well recently." Qin Feng still remembered Ma Chao. He used to be a bully in the class. On the first day Qin Feng came, he taught this guy a lesson. Now he and Lu Jia were both hardcore fans of Qin Feng. Qin Feng's expression was serious. His eyes fell on Ma Chao's face, from his hair to his chin. He looked at every part of Ma Chao's face very carefully. All the students held their breath. They were afraid that they would affect Professor Qiaofeng's performance. The classroom fell into a dead silence. The sound of a needle dropping could be heard. This student's glabella is dark. His lips are purple and slightly chapped. His eyes are turbid and lifeless, and his complexion is pale. After a moment, Qiaofeng opened his mouth and paused for a moment before continuing. "This student, your main symptom is kidney deficiency." His words caused the whole class to burst into laughter. No one knew whether Professor Qiaofeng was serious in teaching or he was just joking. Ma Chao's face turned red when he heard Qiaofeng said that he had kidney deficiency. He did not refute and quickly sat back down. His action made the students realize that Professor Qiaofeng was right. The representatives from the St. Medical Institute were still in shock. They never thought that the Wang formula of Chinese medicine was so powerful. They could diagnose the cause of the disease just by looking at the other's face? "I know. You guys must have discussed this beforehand. In order to win against us, the St. Medical Institute, you guys have come up with this kind of show. What's the point?" Willis suddenly voiced his doubts. The other 3 male exchange students also came to their senses. Yes, it must be an act. They must have discussed this beforehand. Not only the student representatives voiced their doubts, but the representatives of the lecturers also expressed their doubts. Only Avril and Professor Mike had a complicated expression. They did not have many doubts on their faces. Instead, they were more surprised and happy. "What did you guys say? You guys suspect that I'm acting?" Ma Chao was already a little embarrassed when his kidney deficiency was pointed out. Now, there were people who doubted that his kidney deficiency was fake. Weren't they looking down on him? "Humph. You dare to say that you're not acting? You can tell that you're sick just by standing there and letting them look at you. Then it's really easy to be a doctor." Willis maintained a disdainful expression. He was very firm about his speculation. Owen, Peter, and Jack also did not believe that Chinese medicine could be so powerful. They helped Willis to denounce Ma Chao. Instantly, the 200 students in the class were furious. All of them stood up and glared at the representatives of the exchange group from the St. Medical Institute. They knew that Professor Qiaofeng and Ma Chao were definitely not acting. Almost all the students in the class knew that Ma Chao had kidney deficiency. There was no need for him to act. "Everyone quiet down." Qin Feng slammed the table and yelled when he saw that both parties were quarreling fiercely and were about to start a fight. The students in the first class immediately quieted down. However, they still glared at the exchange students with resentful eyes to express their anger. P.S. Today's chapter has been repeated. If you encounter this kind of problem in the future, just refresh the book or uninstall it and add it to your collection. Please forgive the inconvenience. Chapter 608. Professor Qiaofeng. My student's suspicion is possible. I know that Chinese medicine is extensive and profound, but it's our first time in China and we don't know much about Chinese medicine. You were able to tell the cause of his illness just by looking at his physiognomy. It's hard for my students to believe you. I hope you can think of a way to convince my students. Professor Mike spoke. Obviously, He was on the side of Willis's students. Qin Feng's expression never changed. He looked at Professor Mike and said, "Professor Mike, you've been selling French fries for so many years. I'm sure you have a lot of ideas. Can you help me think of a way to convince your students?" Qin Feng's words almost made Professor Mike vomit blood. The medical college class 1 was in an uproar. Did I hear that right? Professor Xiaofeng said Professor Mike sells French fries? Is that true? It should be true. Look at that old man, he didn't refute it. I guess he sold French fries for a living before he became a doctor. What an inspiring story. We have to learn from Professor Mike. The students in the class were talking at the top of their lungs. Even if Mike didn't want to hear them, their voices would still enter his ears. Professor Mike's eyes were red. He looked at Qin Feng and said, "Professor Xiaofeng, why don't you take a look at the 5 exchange students? If you can point out their health problems, you'll be able to convince them." Okay. Professor Mike's suggestion was not bad. So Qin Feng agreed without hesitation. Since Willis was the first one to question Qin Feng walked to Willis and stared at him with his deep black eyes. He carefully observed every detail of Willis's face. He stared for a long time. Qin Feng's face darkened. Ever since he mastered the 5 elements acupuncture technique and 100 herbs sutra, he had transformed from a Chinese medicine idiot to a Chinese medicine expert. He could point out the health problems of over 200 students just by looking at their physiognomy. However, after staring at Willis's face for a while, Qin Feng felt that something was wrong, but he couldn't tell what was wrong. Willis's complexion was very good. Obviously, he didn't have those common illnesses. Moreover, he didn't have any obvious symptoms. Moreover, Willis was a foreigner. It was Qin Feng's first time reading a foreigner's physiognomy, so he couldn't find the cause. "Haha, Professor Xiaofeng? How is it? You've been staring at me for so long without saying anything. Could it be that you've fallen for me? I'm not interested in men." Willis looked at Qin Feng with a smug expression. He didn't forget to mock Qin Feng. As a child of a noble family, Willis's body had been nurtured well since he was young. He didn't do any manual labor, so what problem could he have? Willis was also a medical student, so he was very particular about his diet and habits. He knew that there was nothing wrong with his body, not even the cause of suboptimal health. Moreover, there was an unknown secret in his body. Willis did not believe that Xiaofeng could see through his secret. The atmosphere in the class suddenly became tense. Everyone stared at teacher Xiaofeng. Could it be that he really couldn't tell? Ha ha ha. Professor Xiaofeng, you don't have to watch anymore. I already know that you were acting just now. You knew that Professor Mike would bring us here today to compete with you, so you colluded with these students last night to put on a Hollywood show. But your acting skills are too lousy. Before the show even started, my discerning eyes saw through it. Willis laughed proudly. That's right. Willis laughed proudly. The students in the class wore a cold expression. They were very unhappy with Willis's attitude and words, but they had nothing to say. Just when everyone's heart was in their throats, Qin Feng suddenly laughed. It's not that I can't see the hidden danger in your body, but since you're a guest from afar, I wanted to save some face for you. But since you want me to say it, I have no choice but to comply. Humph. Don't talk nonsense. Tell me, what hidden danger do I have? Willis sneered. Obviously, he didn't believe Xiaofeng's words. Suddenly, Xiaofeng said, "You have a weak kidney." His words caused the dead silence in the classroom to burst into an uproar. Everyone burst into laughter. Willis was so angry that his nose became crooked. He glared at Xiaofeng and yelled, "Humph! Just now you said that student has a weak kidney, and now you're saying that I have a weak kidney? Does everyone in the world have a weak kidney? Or is it that your Chinese medicine can only treat a weak kidney? Isn't this a little too ridiculous?" Willis's words made the exchange students laugh as well. Xiaofeng looked at Willis with a deadpan expression and said, "You really have a weak kidney. And you have asthma, the kind that's contagious." Boom! Xiaofeng's words were like a time bomb. Moreover, it was a bomb that had already been detonated. The classroom instantly boiled with excitement. Willis has asthma? And it's contagious? Isn't this too fucking scary? The students standing beside Willis were also shocked. Although they didn't really believe Xiaofeng's words, They instinctively took a few steps back and maintained a certain distance from Willis. Willis's expression became colder and colder. He was so angry that the veins on his forehead bulged. How could you believe the nonsense he made up? If I really have asthma, you guys who have been my classmates for 3 years would have been contagious. The students who retreated immediately regained their senses and walked back to Willis's side. They looked at Willis embarrassedly. Xiaofeng, on the other hand, kept staring at Willis's face. He could tell that Willis was in good health. However, everyone had some hidden ailments. As long as these people were angered, their hidden ailments could be better observed. Xiaofeng's previous words were indeed nonsense. His purpose was to provoke Willis and make him angry so that he could observe Willis's condition. Soon, Qin Feng realized that Willis instinctively covered his abdomen with one hand when he was angry. When he opened his mouth to defend himself, Qin Feng also saw the color of his tongue. How dare you slander me? Is it because I exposed your trick that you're slandering me? Are you trying to ruin my reputation? Provincial Capital University is really a bunch of despicable people. Willis was so angry that his face turned red. He glared at Qin Feng coldly. No one understood Qin Feng's purpose. The exchange students and lecturers' representatives were also condemning Qin Feng. Professor Mike and Avril had been watching Qin Feng's every move, but they still couldn't figure out what Qin Feng was trying to do. Haha. Don't be angry, Willis. I was just joking with you. I've long heard that foreigners are very humorous. Looks like that's not the case. Qin Feng smiled. Then, his expression suddenly turned serious. Willis, your body is in good health, but you have a hereditary stomach ailment. Qin Feng's mood swings confused the representatives of the exchange team. They didn't know which part of Qin Feng's words was a joke, and which part was the truth. Qin Feng stood tall and straight with his hands behind his back. His expression was serious and his voice was steady. However, the representatives of the exchange team thought he was joking again. What hereditary stomach ailment? Why don't you say sexual ailment? The lecturers of the exchange team discussed incessantly. They were extremely dissatisfied with Qin Feng. However, Willis's expression was dull. His eyes were lifeless as if he was struck by lightning. The contemptuous and arrogant sneer that hung on Willis's face was long gone. It was replaced by a shocked expression. He did have a hereditary stomach ailment, but only he knew about it. Even his classmates didn't know about it. This kind of hereditary ailment was usually very obscure. As long as he didn't say it out loud, no one would be able to tell. Willis couldn't figure out how Qin Feng found out about it. At the same time, Willis was even more worried. Did Qin Feng see through the other big secret of his body? You're talking nonsense again. Willis didn't want to admit it. He looked at Qin Feng nervously. You know best whether I'm talking nonsense or not. Qin Feng shrugged indifferently. He looked at Qin Feng with a carefree expression. How did you find out? Did you see any other hidden ailments in my body? Willis couldn't take it anymore. He was very curious about this question. Of course it's from the physiognomy. In Chinese medicine, look, listen, question and feel the pulse. Do you understand? Qin Feng looked at Willis proudly. As for the other ailments, Qin Feng really couldn't see them. Therefore, he avoided answering this question. Willis didn't say anything because he was so shocked that he was speechless. Did Chinese medicine really find out the cause of a family's hereditary ailments just by looking at the physiognomy? Did they install a B-mode ultrasound machine in their eyes? The lecturers and student representatives of the St. Medical Institute saw the drastic change in Willis's expression. Although they didn't hear Willis admit it, they could guess what had happened. No one dared to say anything. Only the muscular and simple-minded Peter glared at Qin Feng confidently. He said playfully, "Don't talk nonsense, kid. How can a person with a mouthful of nonsense like you be a teacher? Is Provincial Capital University's medical school going to close down? Why do you keep inviting some weirdos to make up the numbers?" Ha ha ha. Peter seized the opportunity to mock Qin Feng. Of course he wouldn't let it go. However, he suddenly stopped after laughing 3 times. He looked at his companions with a strange expression. "Professor Mike, what's wrong with you guys? This teacher is simply spouting nonsense." China's traditional Chinese medicine is a liar. We've already won today's battle before it even started. Hurry up and laugh with me. Peter was still immersed in his own thoughts. He looked at the people around him with an incredulous expression. Professor Mike wanted to kick Peter out of the classroom. He glanced at Willis before turning to Qin Feng and said, Professor Chao Feng's Chinese medicine skills are really amazing. You've really broadened our horizons today. You flatter me. Chinese medicine is broad and profound. I've only learned a little bit about it. I'm sorry for my incompetence just now. Qin Feng and Mike looked calm on the surface and even flattered each other. However, Mike was infuriated. Although Willis didn't admit that he had a hereditary stomach ailment, as long as one wasn't an idiot, he could tell that Professor Chao Feng was right. Willis couldn't refute Professor Mike's words. In an instant, the classroom was filled with excitement. The students of the medical institute cheered and jumped in joy. Professor Chao Feng is so cool. I thought the old man leading the team from the St. Medical Institute would be amazing. TSK. Those lecturers and representatives are even worse. They're nothing in front of Professor Chao Feng. Didn't Professor Chao Feng say that the old man called Mike used to sell French fries? He switched to medicine halfway through. How amazing can he be? Chapter 609. The representatives of the St. Medical Institute were very angry, but no one said anything. This was because it was not the right time to talk. If they said too much, they would be slapping themselves in the face. They still cared about their reputation. Peter suddenly took a step forward and glared at the students below the stage. Don't talk nonsense. How many times do I have to tell you before you can remember? Professor Mike doesn't study Western medicine. He sells French fries. In his agitation, Peter reversed his words. Suddenly, a muffled sound came from the podium. Someone suddenly fainted. Professor Mike. Professor Mike, what's wrong? Oh no, Professor Mike has fainted. Exclamations came from the podium. Professor Mike had fallen to the ground, and his body was still twitching. This scene frightened Peter. He quickly surrounded Professor Mike and shouted his name. Professor Mike, why did you faint? Wake up, please. Who made you faint? The medical students had also noticed the situation at this time, and everyone's discussion came to an abrupt halt. More than 200 pairs of eyes fell on the podium. Many people stood up and tiptoed to see, but Professor Mike was blocked by the podium. No one could see the specific situation. Disperse, everyone disperse quickly. Maintain air circulation. Don't let Professor Mike suffocate. The lecturers' representatives of the St. Medical Institute were not there to do nothing. In such an emergency situation, they quickly began to take rescue measures. Some people dispersed the onlookers while two lecturers squatted on the ground to check on Professor Mike's condition. The scene was in chaos. It was like a battlefield. How is it? What's wrong with Professor Mike? Should we call an ambulance? The lecturers responsible for dispersing the students looked back at the podium. The two lecturers squatting beside Professor Mike frowned. One of them said, breathing difficulties, weak heartbeat, weak pulse and weak breath. It's likely a heart attack. Professor Mike was an old man, and most of them had heart problems. If it was a heart attack, he had to be sent to the hospital as soon as possible. Then quickly call an ambulance. Ask that teacher if there's an ambulance in their school. Let them help. Professor Mike had suddenly fainted, and it was very likely a heart attack. The lecturer's representative from the St. Medical Institute ignored the unhappiness between the two sides and looked at Chao Feng to ask for his help. Chao Feng had been observing Professor Mike's condition for a long time. Looking at his condition, there was an 80% chance that he had a heart attack. I might be able to cure him. Qin Feng walked to Professor Mike's side. The two lecturers squatting on the ground looked worriedly at Qin Feng and didn't move out of the way. Peter angrily rushed up and blocked Qin Feng's path. Don't even think about getting close to our Professor Mike. I don't believe you're so kind as to save him. What if you want to harm him? When the medical students heard Peter's words, they gritted their teeth in anger. Would teacher Chao Feng frame Professor Mike at this time? That's possible. Qin Feng didn't care about Peter's attitude. He shrugged and said, do whatever you want. I think Professor Mike can only hold on for 10 minutes. Even if the medical school has an ambulance, it'll take at least 10 minutes to get here and send him to the emergency room. If Professor Mike dies halfway, you won't have fries to eat." Peter glared fiercely at Qin Feng. He clearly didn't like what Qin Feng had just said, but he had to admit that Qin Feng's words made sense. "Let him try." Avril suddenly walked over and pulled Peter away. Everyone looked at Avril in surprise and couldn't make up their minds for a moment. Avril glanced at Qin Feng and said calmly, "Did you guys forget? Yesterday, this teacher used Chinese medicine acupuncture to wake up a female student who suddenly had epilepsy. I believe that he has the confidence to wake Professor Mike up." Qin Feng also looked at Avril. Previously, he suspected that Avril might have been sent by the William family. Now, Qin Feng was more and more suspicious of her because this woman never panicked. When Professor Mike suddenly had a heart attack, the other lecturers and student representatives were all anxious and sweating, but Avril acted as if nothing had happened. "Let him try, maybe he really can." Willis was the second to stand up. Then Owen and Jack also nodded. This teacher's acupuncture skills are indeed amazing. Professor Mike's situation is getting more and more critical. Let him treat him first. A few of the student representatives spoke up. The lecturers glanced at each other and finally agreed to let Qin Feng treat Professor Mike. Everyone consciously made way. Qin Feng walked to Professor Mike's side and squatted down. First, he scanned Professor Mike's face. Then he placed his hands on the artery of his neck and put his ear near Professor Mike's chest. Qin Feng observed Professor Mike for a long time. He read Professor Mike's face, took his pulse, and even bought a talisman of clairvoyance. However, he still couldn't determine the cause of Professor Mike's illness. Qin Feng felt a little helpless. After he had the 5 elements acupuncture technique and the Book of 100 Herbs, ordinary causes and all kinds of difficult and miscellaneous diseases were nothing to him. He had never encountered a patient whose cause of illness he couldn't determine. However, today, Qin Feng couldn't determine the cause of the illness twice in a row. Once was with Willis and the other time was with Professor Mike. Could it be that the foreign body structure was too different from the Chinese body structure? "Teacher Qiaofeng, how is Professor Mike? Did he have a heart attack?" A few lecturer representatives couldn't wait any longer and asked. Qin Feng didn't investigate the real cause of Professor Mike's fainting, but he was sure that it wasn't a heart attack. "It's not a heart attack. Step back a little, I'll try acupuncture." Now everyone's hopes were pinned on Qin Feng. Qin Feng spoke, so everyone quickly stepped back and gave him space. Qin Feng took out a black cloth from his pocket and spread it on the ground. There was a row of silver needles of different lengths and thicknesses. After the silver needles were arranged, Qin Feng directly shot them out. His movements were extremely fast, so fast that everyone was dazzled. No one could clearly see the specific trajectory of Qin Feng's silver needles. In the blink of an eye, 6 silver needles had landed on several of Professor Mike's main acupuncture points. Whoosh! Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Needless to say, it was the first time they saw Qin Feng perform acupuncture, and some of them screamed in surprise. This was the second time the 5 student representatives had seen Qin Feng's acupuncture skills, but they were still shocked to the core. The 4 male students yelled in their hearts. How many times did he have to practice to have such a fast hand speed? Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Qin Feng's expression was solemn, as if he was isolated from the world. He paid no attention to the screams and discussions around him. He first applied the needles with one hand, then raised his other hand. Both of his hands danced and spun in the air. The silver needles fell one by one, precisely, light and natural. It was as gentle and harmonious as an ancient beauty embroidering a painting. In the blink of an eye, there were 8 more silver needles on Professor Mike's body. In a breath's time, Professor Mike's body was covered with silver needles. The surrounding people held their breaths, as if they would disturb Qin Feng. Qin Feng wasn't performing acupuncture at all. He was clearly performing a kind of aesthetic and lively art. To be able to combine medical skills with art and sublimate it to such a level, this was definitely the standard of a generation of Chinese medicine masters. The expressions of Willis and the other exchange students changed constantly. Although they didn't know whether Qin Feng's acupuncture was correct or not, Qin Feng's technique and speed were obviously extremely proficient and had reached the point of perfection. Qin Feng continued to apply needles. This was the first time he had applied needles for treatment after obtaining the 5 elements acupuncture technique. Qin Feng continued to apply needles. This was the first time he had applied needles for treatment after obtaining the 5 elements acupuncture technique. This was because Qin Feng still couldn't tell what illness Professor Mike had that caused him to suddenly faint. Therefore, Qin Feng planned to apply needles on several major and important acupoints on Professor Mike's body. This would help to unclog his blood and condense his vital energy. Although Qin Feng's hand speed was fast, it still took him nearly 5 minutes to stop. At this moment, Professor Mike's body was covered with silver needles like a cactus. Everyone had yet to completely recover from the shock. 5 minutes seemed to pass in the blink of an eye. How did Professor Mike turn into a hedgehog in the blink of an eye? The acupuncture did not end there. Qin Feng was still holding the longest and thickest silver needle in his hand. The silver needle was pinched in Qin Feng's hand for a long time. Everyone's gaze fell on this silver needle. From time to time they would glance at Qin Feng. Some people even suspected that teacher Qiao Feng had fallen asleep from the needles. Qin Feng suddenly made his move without warning. The last silver needle fell, causing the rest of the silver needles to vibrate. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Hundreds of silver needles vibrated at the same time and reached the same frequency. The student sitting in the last row of the classroom could hear the wind whistling from the podium. It was as if a row of wind chimes hung on Professor Mike's body. Windchanter was still there, but the souls of the St. Medical Institute's representatives were scared out of their wits, especially the lecturers' representatives. It was their first time seeing Qin Feng perform acupuncture, and the first time seeing the needle manipulation technique. Such a miraculous and even illogical scene made them wonder if Professor Mike was possessed by a ghost. This is amazing. China's acupuncture technique is really amazing. Some lecturers had already recovered from the shock and couldn't help but exclaim in English, "Is this China's Chinese medicine? Look, listen, question and feel? Acupuncture technique? I want to learn. I want to learn too. No surgery, no medication, and just a few needles can cure a disease? China's cultural heritage of more than 5,000 years is indeed not just for show." The representatives of the exchange group who looked down on Provincial Capital University, the Medical Institute, and even China's Chinese medicine were deeply moved at this moment. They had never seen such miraculous medical techniques. How could this be considered medical techniques? This was simply a miracle. The lecturers even forgot about the fainted Professor Mike. They forgot that the silver needles were for Professor Mike's treatment and not for an acrobatic performance for them to praise. It didn't matter whether Professor Mike woke up or not. The lecturers stared at Qin Feng with scorching eyes. They couldn't wait to acknowledge Qin Feng as their master. Cough, cough. Hundreds of silver needles vibrated for more than a minute. Suddenly, the unconscious Professor Mike coughed. Cough, cough. Where is this place? Why am I lying on the ground? When everyone saw that Professor Mike had woken up, they quickly surrounded him. Their faces were filled with surprise and astonishment. "You're awake. You're really awake. Professor Mike, are you all right? How do you feel now? Do you need me to send you to the hospital for a checkup?" The lecturers and students of the St. Medical Institute looked at Professor Mike worriedly. Professor Mike's memory seemed to be recovering. He looked at everyone for a while with a puzzled expression. Then he stood up. "Did I suddenly faint just now? Which one of you saved me?" Professor Mike glanced at the people of the St. Medical Institute. Everyone shook their heads. Avril took a step forward, pointed at Qin Feng and said, "Professor Mike, we were helpless when you suddenly fainted. We were going to send you to the emergency room, but Professor Qiao Feng came to your rescue and saved you with Chinese traditional medicine." Chapter 6:10. Professor Mike's words caused an uproar. The lecturers and student representatives of the St. Medical University looked at him in astonishment. The 200 students of the medical college looked at him in surprise. Professor Mike had praised Qin Feng and Chinese traditional medicine, which indirectly indicated that the St. Medical University had admitted defeat in this medical competition. "Professor Mike?" The lecturers hurried to Mike's side and looked at him nervously and unwillingly. Mike waved his hand to interrupt them and said calmly, I know what you want to say, but what's the use of saying it? What's the use of refusing to accept it if you're not convinced? Why didn't you wake me up when I fainted? Because you in Western medicine couldn't help me, but Professor Chow Feng woke me up with his Chinese acupuncture technique. It's obvious who's stronger and who's weaker. There's no need to explain. Professor Mike's words made the lecturer's delegation speechless. Willis's students even lowered their heads. They naturally understood what Professor Mike meant, but they were representing the St. Medical University. They had lost because of the university's reputation, so they were more or less indignant about it. Just like today's medical competition, if Provincial Capital University lost, the students of the medical college would also be unwilling. Haha, as a teacher, Professor Mike, your broad-mindedness is worth learning from. Qin Feng gave Professor Mike a thumbs up. Professor Mike nodded slightly and continued, I brought the St. Medic Institute's team to your university mainly for an exchange of knowledge. In the end, a few days ago, my impatient students changed the nature of the event. We're here to exchange knowledge, not to compete. Even if there's a medical competition, the main purpose is to exchange knowledge and learn from each other. How can you humiliate the other party's culture and medical heritage to show off and improve your university's reputation? Professor Mike seemed to have changed into a different person. Every time he opened his mouth, he would talk about profound and erudite principles, which made the medical college students admire this old man. Qin Feng nodded with a smile. He agreed with Professor Mike's point of view. Professor Mike, you're right. We should exchange knowledge and learn from each other. That's our goal. Haha. Great. Professor Chow Feng, you're right. The students of Provincial Capital University are blessed to have a young and promising lecturer like you. Professor Mike patted Qin Feng's shoulder with a smile. Qin Feng also patted Professor Mike's shoulder, almost knocking the old man over. I used too much strength again. Professor Mike, please don't be offended. I will continue with the lesson. Okay, we will also continue to listen to your lecture. I really like your Chinese medicine class. Qin Feng and Professor Mike flattered each other, creating a harmonious and happy scene. The students on both sides were moved, and they put down their competitive hearts. They began to focus on learning from each other. At that moment, Principal Wang Zhonghua rushed over with a group of old fogies at the entrance of the medical college. They had guessed that the representative from the St. Medical College would come to get back at them, but they hadn't expected them to come so early. As soon as Wang Zhonghua and the others arrived at the classroom door, they saw the scene of Professor Mike and Qin Feng getting along well. They also heard Professor Mike take the initiative to admit defeat to Qin Feng, which made these old antiques extremely happy. Haha, Professor Chow Feng is really amazing. I knew he was a dragon among men. He defeated the entire representative from the St. Medical College by himself. That's really amazing. Wang Zhonghua was grinning from ear to ear. Lu Feng, the dean of the medical college, immediately flattered him. Principal Wang, you have a good eye. I believe that under your leadership, Provincial Capital University will only get better and better. Principal Wang, I saw that Professor Chow Feng and Professor Mike seem to have reconciled. What they said makes sense. This exchange is mainly about learning, so don't you think we're adding insult to injury? An old professor asked timidly. Wang Zhonghua glared at the old man and said snappily, How is this adding insult to injury? Do you really think Professor Mike is really enlightened and is willing to get along with Professor Chow Feng? They must have lost the medical competition. If they don't pretend to be magnanimous and see through the world, how can they continue to stay in the exchange for the next few days? Wang Zhonghua's words enlightened the old antiques, and they nodded in realization. Principal Wang, since Professor Mike is so cunning and sinister, why don't we go in and laugh at them now? The old antique asked again. Wang Zhonghua glared at him again. Old Wang, you're really getting old and muddled. Mike, that old guy is pretending to be magnanimous. If we hit him when he's down, wouldn't that make us look petty? Old Wang was confused by the scolding, so he asked directly, What should we do now, Principal Wang? Wang Zhonghua waved his hand and shouted with a face full of smiles, Don't do anything. Let's go. Professor Mike and the others saw Wang Zhonghua and the others coming and leaving. They had strange expressions on their faces, and no one knew what they were thinking. Qin Feng acted as if he did not see anything and continued to lecture. His Chinese medicine class was very popular. The 200 students in the class were so excited that no one was distracted for 2 consecutive classes. The representatives of the St. Quasi Medical University, who stood on the podium, were deeply attracted by Qin Feng's humorous and lively teaching method. They were also captivated by the miraculous Chinese medicine of China. The lecturers and students listened attentively. Some even took the initiative to ask Qin Feng questions. Avril and Professor Mike, on the other hand, were absent-minded. Ding. Congratulations, host Qin Feng, for promoting Chinese medicine and spreading its name far and wide. The system has rewarded host Qin Feng with a 5 elements formation. When the class was about to end, the system's notification rang in Qin Feng's mind. Qin Feng was not in a hurry to check the 5 elements formation, so he continued to lecture until the bell rang. These 2 classes were very outstanding. The students of the medical college and the representatives of the St. Quasi Medical University were fascinated by Qin Feng's lecture. Many of them even begged Qin Feng to continue when the class was over. They had only heard of students looking forward to the end of the class, but this was the first time they heard of students looking forward to the end of the class. Professor Qiaofeng, your class is too exciting. We have learned a lot from it. I have decided to carry out your teaching method in my university after I return. I have learned a lot from this trip to China. Professor Mike came up to Qin Feng and flattered him after the class was over. Hee, Professor Mike, you flatter me. The education in China is still a little backward and rigid. It's not as good as the education in foreign countries, Qin Feng said politely. Professor Mike hastily waved his hand and said, I used to think so too. But after coming to China, I realized that it's not the education in China that's backward. It's our ideas and vision. Professor Qiaofeng's teaching method is definitely not backward. Do you have any more classes for the next few days? When the time comes, you must inform us in advance. I will continue to bring the students and teachers to attend the class. No problem. I will inform you when the time comes. Qin Feng and Professor Mike exchanged some pleasantries. Then Professor Mike left the classroom with a group of people. Qin Feng's eyes glimmered. No one knew what he was thinking. After seeing Professor Mike and the group of people off, Qin Feng packed his things and rushed back to Yan Wushuang's villa. Provincial Capital University, student dormitory. Professor Mike sat on his bed in his room, lost in thought. Suddenly, someone knocked on his door. Professor Mike came back to his senses and shouted, Who is it? Professor, it's me. You asked me to come here. A man's voice came from outside the door. Professor Mike collected his thoughts and went to open the door. A tall and handsome man walked into the room. He was Qin Feng's transfer student, Prince William. You're here. Take a seat. Professor Mike invited Prince William to take a seat and poured him a glass of water. He acted as if his status was lower than Prince William's. Prince William sat in front of the table and accepted Professor Mike's behavior naturally. Professor, why did you ask me to come here? Professor Mike had already closed the door. However, he was afraid that the wall might be eavesdropping, so he lowered his voice and said, Prince William, have you transferred to Medical College Class 1? Yes. My father asked me to come here yesterday to assist you in your mission, Prince William said honestly. Professor Mike nodded and continued, You saw Qiaofeng's class today. What do you think of him? Prince William was also in Class 1 at that time. He witnessed the series of events in the morning. He pondered for a while and said, What do you mean, Professor Mike? Aren't we here to look for the divine Chinese medicine practitioner, Li Xingtian, who has been missing for 5 years? What does this have to do with Qiaofeng? Professor Mike nodded and then shook his head. Patriarch William did ask us to look for Li Xingtian, because Li Xingtian is a person who can use the needle manipulation technique of Chinese medicine. However, in the class today, the teacher called Qiaofeng also used the needle manipulation technique. Furthermore, he has a profound foundation in acupuncture. I'm thinking if we should capture him as well. This way we can speed up the chief's plan. Prince William's eyes lit up. Previously, he was only thinking about completing the mission given by his father in China, but he had neglected the main purpose of this mission. After Professor Mike's reminder, Prince William was also tempted. Qiaofeng was young, but he had mastered the needle manipulation technique. If he could bring him back to the American base, wouldn't the William family be even more powerful? Professor Mike, you suddenly fainted in class. Was it an act? Prince William's eyes lit up. He was suddenly a little afraid of Professor Mike. This old man was too shrewd and scheming. His long-term vision was not something Prince William could compare with. Hehe. Prince William is indeed smart. I did pretend to faint to test Xiaofeng's acupuncture skills. Yesterday, those exchange students said that Xiaofeng knew how to use the needle manipulation technique. I didn't go for a medical competition today. I went to test him. You saw the result. That kid is the one we need. It turned out that Professor Mike and Prince William were two of the members sent by the William family for this operation. Professor Mike didn't care whether the St. Medical Institute won or lost the medical competition. Everything he did was for the sake of the mission. Prince William suddenly became excited. He looked at Mike and said, I just came to class so I'm not familiar with the other students. I feel that they are also rejecting me. However, I have a good relationship with Professor Xiaofeng. He is also a good person. He even helped me translate and praised me on the first day of school. If you want to rope Xiaofeng back to the base with us, I can try to get close to him and get him to join us voluntarily. Professor Mike looked excited. He immediately slammed the table and made a decision. Okay, then I'll entrust this matter to Prince William. If you successfully convince Xiaofeng, I believe that the chief will definitely reward you when you return. P.S. A chapter in the middle of the night for those who haven't slept yet. Don't forget to vote for those who still have monthly votes. Also, feel free to send gifts. Chapter 611. The only official reading site of Hedonist Sovereign is Zongheng Chinese Network. I hope everyone can subscribe to Zongheng Chinese Network and support young Master Du. When Qin Feng returned to Yan Wushuang's rented villa, Yan Wushuang was preparing dinner. Ever since Qin Feng praised Yan Wushuang's cooking skills this morning, this lass had taken a liking to cooking. She was busy in the kitchen with a big spatula. Team leader Yan, you're really good at cooking. I was mesmerized by the aroma of the dishes as soon as I entered the house. Qin Feng came to the entrance of the kitchen and kept sniffing. Yan Wushuang was delighted, but she glared at Qin Feng coldly. What are you sniffing for? Are you a dog? Get out of here and don't disturb me while I'm cooking. Qin Feng fawned on Yan Wushuang because he hadn't had his dinner yet. He smiled and said, I won't disturb you then, team leader Yan. Call me when you're done, and I'll bring the dishes to you. Qin Feng used to tease Yan Wushuang whenever he saw her. Today he was flattering her with all kinds of flattery, which made Yan Wushuang feel uncomfortable. Clanking sounds came from the kitchen. After a while, Yan Wushuang came out with 2 plates of delicious food in her hands. Serve the dishes, Qin Feng. He coming. Qin Feng eagerly ran to the kitchen. He realized that praising Yan Wushuang was very effective. This girl was in a good mood, so she cooked 4 dishes and a soup for dinner. Her life was very comfortable. This was the first time Qin Feng wished that this quest would continue on forever. Qin Feng was very happy. Qin Feng put the dishes on the table. Yan Wushuang was sweating from cooking, so she changed into loose white pajamas and came downstairs. You stinking brat, you ate without waiting for me. Do you have a conscience? Yan Wushuang gritted her teeth when she saw Qin Feng gobbling down the food as soon as she came downstairs. With a big mouthful of rice in his mouth, Qin Feng said vaguely, Team leader Yan, your food is so delicious that I couldn't help but eat it. Please don't mind me. Yan Wushuang wanted to reprimand Qin Feng, but she was happy after hearing Qin Feng's words. She glared at Qin Feng and didn't say anything. Yan Wushuang sat in front of Qin Feng and began to eat. Eat slowly, kid, no one is going to fight with you. Alright, what did you learn in school today? Yan Wushuang slapped the back of Qin Feng's hand with her chopsticks and shouted angrily, Hey, I'm talking to you. Are you deaf? Qin Feng swallowed the mouthful of rice, drank some water and then said, I couldn't open my mouth just now, or else the rice would have spilled out. I made a discovery today, and it's a big one. Yan Wushuang's eyes lit up. What did you find? Have you confirmed the identity of the member sent by the William family? Qin Feng said, I've confirmed one, but there are still 2 suspicious targets. Really? Are you sure? Yin Wushuang shouted excitedly. Although Yin Wushuang didn't go to class these days, it didn't mean that she didn't go to school. On the contrary, Yin Wushuang lurked in the school every day to check on the members of the St. Medical Institute's exchange group. Yin Wushuang also saw the battle between Qin Feng and the St. Medical Institute in class this morning. Prince William. He transferred to our class yesterday, and now he's called Prince Wei. Qin Feng forgot to tell Yin Wushuang about this yesterday. Prince William? Isn't that William Hagen's son? William's elder brother? How did you recognize him? Yin Wushuang's eyes widened. She didn't expect this person to be here. Prince William tried to assassinate me in the provincial capital, but he didn't succeed. At that time I was using Qin Feng's appearance. Now that I've changed my identity, he can't recognize me, but I can recognize him. Every time Qin Feng thought of this, he would feel happy. The feeling of being in the dark while the enemy was in the light was really great. Yin Wushuang was speechless. She didn't expect Qin Feng to bump into such a good thing. Who are the two suspicious people? One is Avril, whom I mentioned yesterday. I'm becoming more and more suspicious of her. You can pay more attention to her whereabouts. The other one is Professor Mike, Qin Feng said. Yin Wushuang didn't find it strange that Avril was suspected, but Professor Mike made her suspicious. Yin Wushuang witnessed the whole process of Qin Feng's class today. Professor Mike fainted in class and thanked Qin Feng after he woke up. He expressed his admiration and respect for Chinese medicine. How could this old man be someone sent by the William family? Most of the people from the William family were ability users or specially trained super agents. They shouldn't have fainted naturally. Qin Feng saw Yin Wushuang's doubts. Before she could ask, he took the initiative to say, "That old man is very cunning. I suspect he deliberately fainted during class." Yin Wushuang's eyes widened. The more she listened, the more confused she became. Why did he deliberately faint? Qin Feng shook his head and said, "I don't understand this. But when I treated Professor Mike, I didn't find any illness in his body. His body is in good condition, and he shouldn't have fainted." Qin Feng suspected that Professor Mike fainted, but he couldn't guess the reason. Could it be that Professor Mike deliberately fainted to test Qin Feng's medical skills? Isn't this a little strange? Could it be that Professor Mike suspected that Qin Feng knew his identity? That was even more impossible. Because Qin Feng had a new identity, not many people in the capital knew Qiao Feng. Qin Feng couldn't guess Professor Mike's intentions, but he suspected Professor Mike. Yin Wushuang also suspected Professor Mike when she found out that Professor Mike fainted on purpose. Okay, then I'll follow these two people for the next few days to see what they're up to, Yin Wushuang said with hatred. After Qin Feng provided his information, he pouted and looked at Yin Wushuang. "Leader Yin, I've found some useful clues these 2 days. Why haven't you found anything?" Yin Wushuang looked embarrassed. She really didn't find any useful information these 2 days. Moreover, Yin Wushuang was Qin Feng's superior. How could Yin Wushuang not feel embarrassed when her superior wasn't as capable as her subordinate? I already have some clues. I'm just casting a long line to catch a big fish. I'm too lazy to tell you now. Yin Wushuang's eyes darted around. She didn't dare to look Qin Feng in the eye. Qin Feng naturally knew what Yin Wushuang was thinking. He said with a smile, "Leader Yin, it's okay if you didn't find any useful clues. How about this? I'll support you from now on. You provide your body and I provide my strength. We'll divide the work and compete to be the dragon sex double." Yin Wushuang's face darkened. She was wondering why Qin Feng became so serious tonight. Yin Wushuang wasn't used to it. She didn't even get to pretend for a while and this brat showed his foxtail again. Go to hell. Who wants you to support me? Don't think I really didn't find any clues. I caught someone from the William family today. Yin Wushuang raised her head and puffed out her chest. Qin Feng's gaze fell on Yin Wushuang's chest. Yin Wushuang was so angry that she gritted her teeth. "Leader Yin, what did you just say? You caught someone from the William family? Are you for real?" Qin Feng suddenly snapped out of his daze. This Yin Wushuang was too powerful. Yin Wushuang felt great when she saw Qin Feng's shocked expression. She snorted disdainfully and said, I just caught a person. It's not a big deal. Do you think that I, Yin Wushuang, bought my position in the Dragon's Gate Huang group? Didn't you get it because of the unspoken rules? Qin Feng, do you want to die? Qin Feng and Yin Wushuang messed around for a while. Both of them went to a storeroom in the backyard of the villa. According to Yin Wushuang, the William family member that she caught was locked in this storeroom. Yin Wushuang stepped forward and opened the door. Qin Feng followed behind her and asked curiously, Leader Yin, where did you catch this person? In the secret tunnel that you told me about. Yin Wushuang said proudly, when I was looking for another exit in the tunnel, I happened to see him sneaking around. I immediately knocked him out and dragged him back. Suddenly Qin Feng had a bad feeling. He hurriedly looked into the storeroom and saw a green-haired brawny man tied up with a rag stuffed in his mouth. His body was riddled with scars. Apparently, he had been tortured by Yin Wushuang. Green hat? Qin Feng cried out in surprise. As expected, he had guessed correctly. Yin Wushuang, that silly girl, had really caught Greenfur. Do you know him? Yin Wushuang looked at Qin Feng cautiously. How did Qin Feng know someone from the William family? Sob, sob, sob. Greenhair's eyes lit up when he saw Qin Feng. He was so excited that he shed tears. After he was caught, Yin Wushuang forced him to confess and beat him until he was almost beaten to death. How could there be such a tough woman in this world? Qin Feng really wanted to give in to Yin Wushuang, this silly girl. He walked up and removed the rag from Greenfur's mouth. Greenfur's blood-curdling screams were heard. Big brother, I never thought of running. I sincerely wanted to help you find another exit. Why don't you believe me? Please don't beat me anymore. Greenhair was a burly man, but now he was crying. He felt that he was too unlucky recently. Since that afternoon when he wanted to violate Xiao Shi, Greenhair's life seemed to be shrouded in bad luck. He was unlucky from beginning to end. Yin Wushuang seemed to have understood something from their conversation. Could this green hair be the person that Qin Feng sent to find the exit? Yin Wushuang felt a little embarrassed. After all, she caught her own man and beat him up. It would be shameful if people knew about this. Ahem. Don't make a fuss. I just wanted to test you. I wanted to see if you would betray me in a critical moment. You've done well and passed the test. You can continue looking for the exit later. Qin Feng felt that Greenhair's life was too miserable. He must have done too many bad things in his previous life. After he found an excuse to fool Greenhair, Qin Feng pulled Yin Wushuang out of the storeroom. Qin Feng, is that the person you found? Yin Wushuang asked embarrassedly. Qin Feng rolled his eyes and said, Team Leader Yin, I think you should reconsider my previous suggestion. Next time you'll use your body and I'll use my strength. Yin Wushuang glared at Qin Feng angrily, but she couldn't lose her temper. After all, she had caught the wrong person this time. Alright, let that guy go later, and let him continue looking for the exit of the tunnel. I'm going back to sleep. I'm really impressed by you women. Qin Feng glared at Yin Wushuang's chest and went back to his room. Ever since he left Acropolis City, Qin Feng had turned off his cell phone to prevent his identity from being exposed. At this moment he lay on the big bed and turned on his cell phone. Buzz, buzz, buzz. As soon as he turned on his cell phone, it started to vibrate continuously. It vibrated for more than a minute before it stopped. Qin Feng looked at the missed calls and messages. There were messages from his women, as well as messages from Yunzi and Longhair's brothers. The ones who called and messaged Qin Feng the most were Zhao Lingxian and Su Qiuyu. In total, the two of them had made over 1,000 missed calls, causing Qin Feng to be dumbfounded. Qin Feng, you finally turned on your cell phone. Qin Feng called Zhao Lingxian first. Soon, Lingxian's angry voice came from the other side of the phone. Lingxian, I've changed my identity. I need to keep a low profile for a few days, so I didn't turn on my cell phone. Qin Feng gave a simple explanation, then asked, did something happen on your side? P.S. To those who complained about repetitive chapters, wrong chapters, and messy chapters, sorry, you're reading a pirated version. When the pirated version stole Young Master Du's article, the system made a mistake, and Young Master Du couldn't change it. You're tuning into the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.